pure gaping.
I'm excited. You got the dad t-shirt on?
I do. I am your father.
That's very good.
It was the only thing left.
Very corny.
Everything's in the wash.
I love it.
You are correct, Jude.
How's wee baby Lear?
He's doing good. He's doing really well.
Well, baby Lear always be baby Lear unless you
He's
have
turning
another.
into a toddler now.
You don't want to call him baby Lear anymore, do you?
Well, I still call him Baby Lear. Like.
You'll always call him baby Lear when you know.
Probably. He's a year and 6 months now.
That's mental.
Yeah, nearly a year and a half. He's walking, talking, and he opened his first door today. Me and Clina were literally watching him do it. We're like, oh shit.
This is it.
He now knows how to open this door.
Lock and everything.
So he's good. He's doing well. Walking and talking a wee bit more.
How does him and Burrito get on?
Gibberish. Really well. I have a wee dog, Burrito.
Mm-hmm.
He's cross between a Chihuahua and a Dachshund, so a sausage dog. And they are like the best of friends. So like we'd be petting Burrito in the house, say, and Lear would be like, I want to do that. So he's just like constantly over and shares.
It's a good wee size for
shares his
Lear.
food with him as well. So like if Lear's finished, he just starts bailing all the food onto the floor, and Burrito's just literally just hoovering it up. just like teamwork.
Just you be careful that, asking about wee Lear all his days. My name, I had something similar. So my granddad was called Patrick James Donnelly.
Right.
Okay, and was called Pat. Christian Patrick James Donnelly, called Pat. My dad was called Patrick James Donnelly and called Jimmy. Along I came, and I was christened Patrick James Donnelly. So I'm the third one in the thing, and my mother says, no, I don't want him being called Big Jimmy and Wee Jimmy, so we'll call him Seamus. So I'm every document I have is Patrick James. So you're talking to how a name sticks to you. So she was mitigating against me being called Big Jimmy and Wee Jimmy.
That's
so
good.
So I get Seamus.
He's Lear Eugene. Lear Eugene.
Oh, very good.
After my father, like so.
It's the same with my dad.
You can end up being called Eugene.
Your dad's called Lear Eugene too?
No, it was Francis. His name was Francis, but it's Joseph. Everyone calls him
Was
Joe.
he Frankie Joe? Francis Joseph?
Francis Joseph.
Aye, but so Seamus is Irish for James. That's how I got Seamus.
Yes, that makes sense.
I see.
Aye, you see.
Doesn't make sense, like.
Absolutely.
No.
Every document I have is Patrick James Donnelly.
That's got to be.
Yes.
And you're stopped by the police, it's either Patrick Donnelly, PJ Donnelly, Patrick James Donnelly. If I say Seamus Donnelly, I think, have I any identification? There's been a worst thing.
Do you ever get rang up by them guys looking something on the phone?
No,
at home?
Patrick.
What do they call you on there? Like,
Mr. Donnelly.
in case they get it wrong. Very good. Welcome, Seamus, to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
We've been recording you now for about half an hour now. It's only been a wee while.
I wish we had him. Some of them stories were brilliant.
So you're another guest on the podcast that's been sort of asked about here and there, obviously from your brothers, Kevin and Marty. We had Kevin on maybe 3 times now, three and a half maybe. You need to double check that one. And then we had Marty on once with Kevin. What's the age difference between you boys?
So Martin's the eldest.
Martin's eldest.
And so he's 2 years older than me. And then Kevin's younger.
No, he's not.
Kevin is actually.
I thought he was.
No.
I thought he was the oldest.
No, I know.
Oh, sorry,
no.
Kevin.
No, Kevin's.
Sorry, boy.
Believe it or not, Kevin's 4 years younger than me.
4 years younger.
It does come up in conversation at times,
Wow.
about him being younger than me or older. So I try to play it down. I wouldn't say it to Kevin because sometimes I think it might get to him. So
he maybe say he has more years done. Like he's lived a crazy life.
He had a harder paper round. That's all I can say.
It's being up in the mountain, that weather, cold weather.
No, that's
Very good.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
Very good. I was going to say there, whose episode was better, Kevy or Marty's?
I listened to Kevin's 2 or 3. I think Kevin's middle one, where he starts talking about history.
Yes.
I've told so many people. Like,
it was lethal.
I said, this is my brother. You need to listen to this, hear this man talking about history, because like, me and Kevin went to some prizes. Martin was the one with the brains, and we were sort of the 2 runts. And, to hear, like, Kevin talks so fluently about history. He amazes me. I really have to say, he amazes me whenever he's sitting. And I sat and listened to that with this, I don't know, a different kind of respect for him. I was amazed by him. Martin's journey I knew about. I thought it was fantastic. You know, if Kevin had let Martin talk that night, I would even be better. But I enjoyed them both.
Yeah, very good stories.
And enjoyed Chada too.
Aye, Charles was good.
Chada's a good lad. I enjoyed his.
It was good crack. It's getting some really good feedback at the moment. Like we put it up on like the wee Facebook, the Marfelt Facebook, and it's got a lot of views. Like they're all getting good views. I think people want to see people from the area. Like I think that's an important thing.
Even that last one, I was out painting the shed last Tuesday night and listened to the fella from Dawson's.
Aye, Stephen.
And Joe. Big Joe. Like I don't know Joe, but I listened to 2 or 3 of Joe, and every steak he's talked about, I could taste it.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'll be honest with you, that man, the way he talks about food and that, I can taste it. He's my type of guy.
Did you get up to the dolphin?
No, I actually did. I was planned because I listened to all the dolphin, and I'm on Google Maps thinking, where's this place? How could I get there by driving past somewhere? And then somebody says, no, he's not there anymore.
Tough location to get to, like, I think he knew that himself, but it was some spot.
The steaks,
it was amazing.
Unreal.
I know. I've never said about he had this big long menu, and then he just shortened it down because all people wanted was steaks. You know, they just wanted the few items that they were coming for.
That's the old school there. Like that's
absolutely.
You know what that reminds me of? I don't know if you've been to it much yourselves. Sizzlers in Marfelt. Years ago, I thought like really set this like different kind of home feeling standard in the area, like their menu, and they had a nice wee like, I think it was like a wee like kids area, and then there was like a wee bar upstairs. You could go up
and a wee waiting area at the
wee waiting area, and then upstairs you go for a wee drink upstairs and all before your meal. I just remember nostalgia. Like I thought it was a class wee spot, and that's kind of what like Joe's was like. It was kind of like that. You go over there, have a few wee drinks, and then go get your meal and good hearty food. Like it was very, very nice. I was going to do a wee quick fire with you, Seamus. Just to get it going. We're going to change it up a wee bit. I've changed it up. Peas or carrots?
Carrots.
Peanut butter or jam?
Oh, it has to be peanut butter. Never ate jam in my life.
Would you never have peanut butter with jam?
No.
You've never ate jam?
I was the most fussiest eater as a child. As a child, I'm now starting to open up a bit, but as a child, I wouldn't eat anything that was green or white. No, spuds.
You would eat spuds?
I would eat spuds and beans, and because whenever we were very young, I suppose 10 or 11, Dad was into shooting. So he shot pheasants, ducks, pigeons, and my mother made pigeon soup and force fed you pigeon soup, duck soup, pheasant soup.
Why was she force feeding you? Like, that's all you're getting?
I hated it.
Like.
Martin and Kevin, they loved it, and ever since that, like I was into shooting big time, and I shot stuff, and then I would never have had it. And the fishing, I don't eat fish.
You fish, but you don't eat it.
No,
just because you're sickened by it, like.
Whenever we were kids again, the dad knew all these fishermen around the loch, you know, the commercial men, and they would have come to our house on Friday night and dropped off a big bag of pollen or maybe eels. And so Friday night it was a ritual. Next thing he'd out with Irish News, and he had four fish for such and such. That's going to that house, and around another wrap. So me and Martin went around all these houses, the neighbours, and we give them all out for free. But they had to give us 10p here, 15p here. But that then whatever was left, we had to eat. Oh Jesus, no! I could not. No, it just put me off eating fish.
You still get on, seems.
Probably, aye.
And salmon, like I've tried to eat salmon.
Aye.
No.
They took the hand out of me. What are you laughing at already? Like
we continue to.
Exactly. No, like they don't do it anymore. Like
you proved yourself, Jules. You did.
Thank you.
I heard you talking about that.
Not fussed on the bones, but look, I'll eat around them if I need to, and if it looks like the animal, I'm just like nah. But the thing is, I'm not a vegetarian. I don't care about the animal. I would just rather eat it a bit more plain looking than a fish head looking at me, or a chicken's leg just sitting there. You know, that was just ripped off the chicken there. Like no.
Oh, that bit wouldn't bother me there.
It's the nicest part of the meat.
It is. Fish or chips?
Oh, chips. I do like a fish supper. Donegal catch, cod, and a fish supper is the limits of my.
That's your.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Hopefully, there's some of that omega-5 oil in there. Just do me a bit of good. Probably not.
Tea or coffee?
I was a tea man all my life, but I would say possibly 4 years ago, the smell of coffee, no. And then my daughter challenged me. Darcy challenged me to try this wee bit of coffee, and so it was a bit of an event this Friday evening in the house. We made us wee half cup of coffee, and I went, do you really? God, that's not bad. That's not bad. And then I started drinking like only Nescafe. I tried the lattes and all that. No, stinking. But see now, like I just see cappuccinos out of Bob and Bert's. Myself and Kathy would go there and
love them like
coffee date, and go in there and even the family just go down and chill out. Friday evening, straight home from work, in there for a coffee, and then whatever's in your head is gone. You just sit and drinking a coffee.
There's a nice coffee culture in this town.
I'm so glad I'm part of it now, because I did feel you're talking earlier, Fergal, about the Guinness Zero. I felt out of it whenever you go in somewhere with somebody and tea or coffee, and I'm going, a cup of tea please. Or we in holidays asking, do you do any tea? We have green tea or Earl Grey, and I just want no the ordinary stuff. My mom made me. So yes, sorry to answer your question, more tea, but definitely I drink 1 cup of coffee.
What's your favourite brand of tea?
Whatever's in the cupboard.
Oh, Jesus. You ever tasted Punjana?
I might now. I have, yes, but
give it to you. We've been trying to get a sponsorship for 2 years now from them, so we keep mentioning them.
I think
it's never happened.
Shane Todd's got that locked.
It's never happened. I wouldn't sponsor us. Mashed potatoes or sliced potatoes?
Mashed.
Marty or Kevin? Mashed. I'll have them both mashed, please. No, I can't. I'm not going to let you answer.
I actually had an answer there.
I'm not going to let you answer. This is the first time I'm going to not let you answer.
No, both legends.
Both good lads, for sure. Both your older brothers as well. Potato bread or soda farm?
Oh, fudge.
Bit of fudge.
Oh, jeez, love it.
Indian or Chinese? Oh, aye, yeah, it doesn't matter. Indian or Chinese?
I would say Indian.
Yeah.
But I thought about this. I thought you might answer this one. And our current Indian isn't that deadly. But they see if you go back to I've been asking boys all week, what do you call Indian used to be up above, like way before your time, up above steps?
Aye.
Indian Royale.
Aye.
And a fella called Mustafa used to.
Right. I've heard of it.
Unbelievable food.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The food, like I was talking to guys at work today about it, because I was asking them, what do you call that place we used to go to? And nobody could remember. And then a friend texted me to say Indian or Royale. So whenever you got in there, it was never that overly busy. So in the winter time, you're in and there's a super sare. So whenever you go in, the super sare was pushed over beside you. Okay, and see, whenever it got really cold, you'd light the super sare. So but the food was really fantastic in it. So
what was there? Was there a bar in there at one stage too?
It was Steps before that.
Okay.
Steps was the bar before that.
Right. Okay.
Then Marty Coleman used to run it.
Yes.
That's where haven't you heard Conor Larkin talking about playing in your podcast, talking about playing in the band?
Yes.
Sir Kevin and Conor Larkin and them boys were playing in the band up in Steps. Class. So you imagine where ground's at now, there was like 2 bay windows up above, and they were playing in there. And our Kevin, I remember us going, I was like, what's your boy playing? I hadn't a clue. So there's this bullet in the head.
Yeah.
There's a bullet in the head. And I just thought, that's our boy up there,
That's class.
So that was Steps bar. He was big into promoting any music in there. He could.
Class.
This was stuffed. Yeah. All young ones coming in there to watch the bands.
Lethal. Very good. Films or TV shows?
TV shows, Netflix.
What's your sort of genre you like?
I would be big into, like a espionage, CIA sort of stuff. I love
American kind of stuff.
Anything. If it's realistic, that's my thing. We also, like myself and Kathy, would watch the They're like the Tour de France episodes on Netflix. Formula One Drive to Survive.
Oh yeah, I hear.
We watched the golf one there. You know, with you know, any of them ones, they're all the same sort of thing, same setup.
Yeah.
It's more about the people behind.
That's it.
You know, it's not about the sport really. It's about what's going on behind the scenes.
I love a good sport documentary.
So
to be fair.
those ones, what do you call the big basketball player?
Just about to say, not Jordan, obviously.
Aye, was it the LeBron James one? Watch that too.
There's a what do you call
Man's
it?
been 65 and he's still playing basketball.
Fuck,
God.
I haven't seen that.
What do you call the one? It was all the Bulls. The Last Dance.
Last Dance.
Have you ever seen it?
Oh, deadly,
was
deadly.
unreal.
It's one of the best
Deadly.
documentaries
It was during COVID,
I've
wasn't it?
ever seen. When it came out,
It was during COVID.
no, a couple. I would have been with the tail end of it.
Remember we played basketball.
We used to play basketball.
After every
we played
episode
like
came out.
a legal basketball competition. Like it was some crack. It
I
was
think I watched that last year.
It was
That's
fantastic.
It's brilliant.
And
I must watch that
it
again.
completely blew my mind that footage was sitting there for so long. You know, a behind the scenes tour of that season or whatever it was. Like, blew my mind that they had been sitting on it. Like, and it was just one of the best things I've ever seen.
Unbelievable.
So good.
Unbelievable. It's like competitive. I've never. There's. I don't think there's ever been a more competitive.
I actually
Sports
went
person.
back. I went back to basketball a few weeks ago. The Titans of Marfelt went for a session.
Did you play?
Yeah. I haven't been back since. I just with Lear and stuff. But I'm going to train with them. It's class. Like, I started watching the documentaries, started watching all the YouTubes and all. And I was just like, fuck, you know, I miss the basketball. I haven't played in I think it was 17 years or something. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go back and give it a go.
Do you remember I was well good at it during COVID?
No, you weren't. You weren't. You were really bad.
Fuck, I was unreal, lad.
You were very bad.
Up and down that court, like.
Very bad. We weren't supposed to
Silo.
we weren't supposed to be doing that during COVID, so don't be doing that to me. Mega menu. You've heard of the mega menu.
Yeah.
So for anybody at home, the mega menu is it's an every episode question, I suppose, to especially Marafeltians, is from around the area, Seamus, you're able to pick a starter, a main, and a dessert. And you can stay within Marfelt. You can go Mid-Ulster, you can go Northern Ireland, whatever you prefer, or you can go nostalgic, you know, from either the menus from years gone by in Marfelt. I want you to give me a starter from anywhere. You can have maybe a couple of starters from maybe 2 different venues. In the main, you get a main course, you could have a sauce from somewhere else, you get a side for somewhere else. Same with the dessert. You can get your fudge cake from there and Granny's custard from down the road, whatever you want. And that is your mega menu. So starting with the starter, what would be your mega menu and what area are you going to do this in?
All local. So
You're local?
Yep. So the first one, after again listening to our boy Martin, so I just call it our boy and our boy.
Yep.
So if I'm talking to Martin, I'll say our boy and he knows it's Kevin. If I'm talking to Kevin, I say our boy and he knows it's Martin. So I just say our boy. So after
Figure it
listening our boy on his podcast, and he's talking about Lazy Llama and his whole story with Connor and everything. And I thought, then he told us, I've got 4 things to go up to the Lazy Llama. And I thought, I'd going to go up there and try that because I never went up. Text Martin, what night's that open? He said, sent me this thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we heads up on a Saturday evening. I said, or Friday evening. I said, Kathy, let's maybe back just after Martin's thing. Still the dark nights. And I said to Martin or to Kathy, we'll go up and try this. We head up anyway. The gate to the jungle was open. So I drove right up through the jungle. I hadn't a clue where this place is at.
Yeah.
Right in. I thought, this must be it here. Pulled run right outside where the boys cook at. And I said, where do you park at here? And the boy just came out and said, we're not open. And I said, you're not open. So we had to go home. And then I text Martin, geez, Martin, they're not even open. So then he sent me another thing. Oh, sorry, lad. It's only open on a Friday and Saturday. So we're back up 2 weeks ago. And on the Sunday, it was what was it?
It was a run on, was there? Rampage?
Rampage was on. Didn't know it was on. We landed up at 5 o'clock, walked in anyway, and all these weans running around with Rampage t-shirts.
Place buzzing.
They did 1,500 sausage suppers.
Nuts.
And I'm sitting there like a freak I am thinking, well, that's 1,500 sausage suppers, that's 3,000 sausages and God knows how many chips. And the wee girl came out and says, I'm very sorry, we have very, very, very little left here. And I thought, I'm not doing this again. We're here. We're here now. We need to get something. I'm probably going on a bit too much here about the bloody starter.
Work away.
So anyway, seen Connor D there, and he was just flat out. The gravy running off him, and so the wee girl came out and told us what was. So I ordered one of the what they call the chips, loaded fries, but I ordered the char siu ribs as well.
Oh, deadly.
Now. And I got them. I didn't even eat them that evening. I ate them next day at work for lunch because it was too much in the thing I got. And I have to say, I was deadly. Just sitting at lunchtime the following day eating that rib.
Boys around you drilling over you over.
I love. I can play that up at work. I know how to do it. So so that char siu rib out of there, and I thought back on it. You reflect on it, you think them boys were flat out. They couldn't, they flat out serving all those people and they still produced something like that there. On the way out, I met Connor McCann, who I don't really know, and I says, that must be him. And I said to Connor, I says, Marty D says, I have to tell him what it was like. And I says, fantastic. So I got chatting to him a month or two anyway. And then he actually said, you were here before, weren't you, one Friday night? So I said, hi. So maybe Martin was telling him that.
Class.
But that's my starter. I'd definitely go with that one.
Very good. What about your main?
I would go back to the Indian Royale. Now it's in my head. The two things I had was the Caesar salad from the Terrace. Terrace is fantastic food. It's unreal.
Yeah.
I really do believe in the Terrace. But that chicken tikka dansak I used to get up in the Indian Royale. It's like a ready. It's like a sweet and sour.
Dansak.
You have sweet and sour in Chinese. Well, that's the Indian version of it.
Right. Okay.
But depends where you get it at. So if you go somewhere else, it could be green. His was red at that time, and it was deadly. So I really that was my one. Going back like
Lethal.
Aye, unreal.
Any sides with it? Any sides? Do you have
just the peel of rice, and a naan. Like myself and my friends used to go up there at night, but just for a bit of crack and a bit of food, and it was just a chill out thing and just eat good food.
Yeah.
Class.
Sounded nice. Sounded like a lovely place. I definitely remember my mum and dad mentioning it as well. Like over the years, like it was a staple of the town. What about your dessert?
Dessert would have to be sticky toffee pudding from anywhere that does it. I got it in Dawson's. We were down there, and I get this big tomahawk steak.
Lethal.
But the young fella came out, and we got it between us, and I was starving that night, and I said to him, do you think we need any fries or anything sides here? He said, oh no, there's plenty for 2 years. So they said, there might be a half hour waiting this, but lucky enough we ordered it and somebody else maybe hadn't turned up and had one there, but it was fantastic, but it wasn't enough for me that night. I needed a couple of sides. I wish I had got them.
But
we got the sticky toffee pudding. And
that's class.
It was fantastic. And then the girl came out and says, oh, Stephen does it, this, that and the other. But yeah, my brother-in-law's cousin makes it. He's usually McGrogan from Newbridge.
Okay.
McGrogan's Kitchens, give a wee plug. And he lives down
Shout out.
He lives down beside the river too. He used to come to my brother-in-law's family gatherings, but he made his own sticky toffee pudding.
Lethal.
And he brought it, and I was only going there. Like,
for it.
He was like, you come round tomorrow night, we're having a bit of a thing. I don't know what the crack is. I might go to the river. And then I said, who's all going to? And that's going on. And Eugene's coming up. I'll be there. So for about 3 or 4 times, Eugene came up, and then somebody asked him for the recipe, and he handed it over to Kathy, and she made it there one night. She just made it from exactly how he did it. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Lethal.
It's unreal. So I don't think it's that hard. But it's unbelievable.
What do you take with it? Do you take any ice cream or cream or anything like that?
I take a bit of ice cream, but not. I don't want to kill it. The sticky toffee pudding's class.
It's
a
unreal.
good one.
Unreal.
Class.
It's top tier dessert, in my opinion.
Very good. What about 3 people at your dinner table? So for anybody at home, this and just to go over it again is you can pick whoever you want, past, present, future, dead or alive, celebrity, friend, whoever you want to be at your dinner table, and you have 3 people to pick. Who would you pick for that evening?
I thought about this one, and it might sound a bit weird, but the first person I would pick would be my father. The next person's Gavin and Martin.
Very good.
So my father had passed away when I was 21, and I just would love to get him round a table with us three.
That'd be unreal.
Because we've grew up
Yeah.
and without a father, really, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I would just love him to tell him the stories that we've done. He had a big impression on my life as a child. And right now, the only link we have left to our father's side is my cousin Gerry Donnelly.
Right.
He just lives out towards Curran. And we'd call to see Gerry all the time. And Gerry would tell us stories about Da.
Class.
You know, and that's all we. So me, myself, Martin, and Kevin would go out, and even for the three of us to get together to go out and see Gerry. And Gerry's getting on now, but I think he watched Martin's podcast because my cousin Judy sent me a picture of it. Him watching the podcast on
brilliant.
YouTube.
That's class.
And I just thought, you know what, that man in my early years was such a big impression, and he never knew it.
Yeah.
I told him probably the last time I was out, I said, you know, Gerry,
Yeah.
I was so jealous of your two sons growing up because they had the life that I wanted to be, you know, that shooting and into the outdoor life, the country life and everything.
Yeah.
And the impression that man put on me. So my dad was into shooting and that, but Gerry took it to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's who I am. I'm Gerry Donnelly. When I get into something, I want to take it to the next level.
Lethal.
That's so I just love talking to Gerry because Gerry will tell you, and Gerry doesn't cut. He just tells it straight. He just tells it very straight, and he'll tell us about things that happened and to my father. You know, my father done or my uncle's done, and he kind of closed the loop on a lot of different things that we did my father did that we never knew about.
Very good.
So definitely to sit down with my father and my two brothers and just have a chat. I think that would be fantastic.
It's probably one of the best we've ever had, to be honest.
That's a great answer.
I was the same. I'd be the same, to be honest. My father, like, if I was to have my three people, my father would definitely be there. You mentioned the stories there. My father passed away when I was 22, but I was at I go down to the grave regularly enough, just for a walk and just to pray even. But I met a man there one night, like just randomly. I had the dog with me, and he just came past and he goes, "You Eugene's son?" And I goes, "Oh fuck, what's this guy going to tell me here?" And like he just rhymed off this. Me and him just chatted for an hour. Like he knew Dad like back in like whenever it was, maybe the 70s or something. Like and he was telling me stories of him and this here, and that closed a pile of wee lips for me as well. Similar to you say, like so, like it's class whenever you get those wee sort of wee nuggets and stuff like that. There.
Like whenever, as a child growing up, like there was no cameras. We had cameras. But we what's now known as the yellow suitcase. I'm not sure if Martin and Gavin mentioned the yellow suitcase. It's in Martin's house. It's all the memories of our family.
Oh, wow.
So all the photographs of us as children and everything, whatever it is there. But I would say altogether there's maybe 4 or 5 photographs of my father out shooting.
Right.
And it might just be a photograph of him standing. You know, somebody took a photograph. Why they did it back in the 70s, and Gerry Donnelly's with him. You know, and I used to sit at home as 11 or 12-year-old and stare at these photographs, and I brought those photographs to life. So that's still the photograph at them standing with, and I played that out like a film in my head.
Yeah.
So then in came the duck, and Dad would turn around and he probably shot the duck because he probably told me a wee story about it. You know, and I brought this whole thing to life, and I just that fascinated me really, really. Those wee photographs. It's amazing how that one wee bit gets you a fascination into what I become, you know, as in my adult life, you know, and still, you know, wanting to do all those things that my father did and what Gerry Donnelly done.
Class.
You know.
Very, very good.
Massive influence.
Brilliant. We're just about to go into our origin story. But I was going to say, we ask as many Marfell people as we can, if you were to do anything in the town or for the town or an idea to help the town, what would you do? Like, what would you think would help to support the town in any way?
It would have to be something about community. Something that brings people together. I don't know what it is, and I've heard you talking before about this. I just don't know exactly what it is, but everything I do that I'm involved in, it's all about bringing people together. Like the Mule Angling Club is just a massive thing to bring everyone together. But in the town itself, Just somewhere where people would visit. I think when you go back to my childhood, I grew up, and I'm not afraid to say it, I grew up a second-class citizen. I'm not that overly political person, but I grew up second class, and I knew I was second class. I was told by my friends I was second class, and I accepted it. But then as you grow up and you start nowadays, no way, no way. We're all equal. We're equal. That's it. That's the way it should be. Treat everybody with respect at their owed, and we all have our differences. But I was chatting to a fella at work last week about I just brought into focus. I work with a guy who's a big Rangers man. Another guy is a big Celtic man. I was talking to a third person about them both, and I says, they're doing different. Because them boys both love football. They get up in the morning, they come to work, they love their Scottish football. They both would probably go on a boat to Scotland to watch their team.
Aye, die hard, like.
Aye, and they both get into the ground, and there's thing at a match. The only difference between them two boys is one of them supports a blue team, the other supports a green white team. That's it. That's the difference. They are just so similar.
Yeah. And probably would get on like a house on fire.
Yeah. They do. Oh no, don't get me wrong. These guys get on. We get on so well. We get on so well at work. Shouldn't really be saying this. I'm gonna say it anyway. But anyway, so this I'm currently doing the quid games for Marfelt for the Rossa, and Martin's doing it too. But we're doing fundraising, and Martin and myself, I came up with the idea that we do bonus ball lottery barbecue.
Yes.
I jump, I piggyback on him, thinking I'll come up with the idea. He's a man with the cooking knowledge. So I said to him, I have an idea. We'll do the bonus ball barbecue, and we'll give two options: a £10 option and a £20 option, just to get people and see what sort of gauge what interest there is. And I says, a £10 option is we'll come to your house if you win the bonus ball number. We'll come to your house and we'll cook for 20 people. And I says, so we'll cook burger, sausage, and bit of chicken, bit of salad for 20 people if you win the £10 option. And we'll give a cash alternative. If there's a £20 option, we'll go. I said, what do you think? What could you get? And he goes, well, we'll go proper butcher's burger, sausage, chicken, steak, and ribs, and all the state salad. So that's your £20 option. And we'll give a $2.50 money if you want to take the money out instead. So I was telling the lads at work, I said, look, boys, I'm doing this here, and if anyone's want to buy it. So the wee Rangers man, I'm not going to mention his name, he come up and he goes, I'll buy one of them. Take it off you. I said, that's all right, you sure? And he goes, aye. Now he's in a band, and the band is in a band in Garva. So, and I says, you know what? You see, if you won, I'm going to cook for the band. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. And he goes, I says, and everybody will come too. I says, if you win this, we're cooking for the band, or whatever you want. And he says, that's all right. He says, I've no money with me at the minute, but he says, I'm in tomorrow and I'm off shift on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I give him an envelope, and I said, look, put the money in that there and put it under my wee office door, and I'll get it on Monday morning. So anyway, I come in Monday morning, there's the envelope sitting, and it says Seamus on the thing, and says, please put Pat the Spray Man. So I didn't want his name put on, so I wrote on as part of in the bonus ball thing, I wrote Pat the Spray Man. But he didn't win. He didn't win.
I really wanted
he
to
came
win
back,
now.
he says, if I had won, he says, I would have took the money. I wouldn't have forced you in that. And I said, look, there'd be no bar. I had no problem at all.
So funny.
I had done that one. So
That's class. I actually seen that, and at first glance, I was like, "Oh, lethal! Them lads are going out and they're barbecuing for people like regularly."
Yep.
I thought that. I'd say a few people were thinking that as well. Like
Martin does a lot of that.
he does it.
Does
I
he?
was out and does it. I was like, lethal! The fucking Donnelly brothers are coming up to feed the house. Like that'd be class crack.
That would be unreal.
It would
And
be
I would love to have
That's a good
went.
idea.
I would love to have went. The woman who won it actually coaches with me in our girls team. She's one of our, what we call a female liaison officer, a flow. So you have to have a flow for whatever, for girls football.
Yes.
And she won it. And I says, or Martin said to me all along, he says, look, if I win, I said, what do you want to do? Do you offer to push the money to somebody, or do you go and do the barbecue? He said, no, the barbecue, lad, I'll make more money if we do the barbecue. you know. So I said, that's all right. I'm easy either way. She'll be good crack for me and you to go and do the barbecue. And then, so she won it anyway. And he's under pressure because the guy he works with was off that week. And I sent him a WhatsApp on a Tuesday morning. And he didn't open it. And I knew our boy's under pressure. So then I rang him Tuesday evening thinking, what's the crack? You know, and, oh, seriously. And I said, well, you see who won the prize? And he goes, get her, take the money. Get her, take the money. And I says, but she says it's better off for us to, you know, to do the barbecue. No, the money. He says, I don't have dates left. And he started giving me what dates he had left for us to do it. And I says, that's right. Look, calm it. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with this here. So the woman who won it, and I spoke to her anyway, and I said, look, your option there, take the money or the barbecue. Up to yourself, we'll do whatever. And she says, I'll have a thought about it. So then Mara felt we were playing ball on the screen 2 weeks ago, and I said to Martin, I said, what give me the dates there? So I can text the woman here won it just to say what available dates we have. And he just said, just take the money. She has to take the money. Get her to take the money. Just give me the dates. Give me the dates. I'll deal with the rest. Just give me the dates. So anyway, he give me the dates. This is half time the match. So I sent a very nice message to Anne, and I says, look, there's available dates. And she came back and she said, I've decided I'm going to take the money, but I'm only going to take £100 and I'm going to put the rest back into your fundraising. And I thought, very good. That's amazing.
That's lovely.
That's amazing. But I said to her, no way, we're giving you $250. So whenever I showed him, he's like, oh, he's hugging me and all half day. Oh boy. So I gave her the $250 at the next training station, and that afternoon she put £50 back into my Squid Game thing and 50 into his.
Oh, very good.
And I just thought, there's the power of community.
Yeah,
that's community. That's people who, you know, it's unbelievable. But he was just glad that he didn't have to. You know, he didn't have to go and do the barbecue.
He's some boy.
Because, unreal. You know, unreal. So
he needs to get out there and do that barbecue for somebody soon.
Oh, he was. So
some job.
Next Friday night there's a barbecue down the club, and he's wrangled me into doing that, I believe. So, because he's away doing some other big show for the weekend.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the IFAX or something, is it? No?
He does IFAX every year. This is a different one.
It's a different one.
Aye, so he gets to do sort of celebrity judging and that at it.
Very good, very good. I seen a video, what was it? A few days ago. I think it was on
Balmoral, was it?
No, it was actually of one of the parties. I don't know where you were at, but it was Kevy playing the harmonica or something, and there was a pile of music.
That was my 50th.
Was it your 50th?
My 50th birthday. I had at the 50th birthday I had a traditional music session.
Lethal.
Okay, so wind back 2 years, wind back 5 years. My stepdaughter competes in music. She's just gifted. A really gifted child. She's now 21, but since she was 11 or 12, she's won the Derry Fla, tin whistle, flute, piano. She just was gifted. So we were taking her to lessons here and lessons there, and I was taking her to sessions everywhere. And I was sitting at a session one night and I thought, I'm running back and forward here. Maybe if I get involved, you know, and try to learn something. So I thought bodhran lessons. Maybe learn the bodhran. So myself and the stepson went to bodhran lessons down in Portnowan and started learning that. But I had to buy the dog's balls of a bodhran. Bought it anyway. Practice. Every night I was relentless. I just had to get the thing right. Went to sessions and loved it. But I just thought I went then to a winter school up in, we went 3 years in a row up in, over Christmas holidays up in Gator. And one of the fellas, instructors up there said, you know, if you go into a session, musicians only really like one bodhran in a session. They don't like 2, 3, because they're all you're playing beats, whereas they're playing tunes. So they're all, so whether there's 6 accordions, 6 flutes, they're all playing a tune. So he says they only really like one. They might stick 2, but you need to have, if it's me and Fergal, I give Fergal a nod, you go for this next set, Fergal, I'll take the next set. So I was going to sessions and there was 4 landing down, and I thought, no, this isn't going to work for me. So I then went on and I saw a girl playing an accordion. I thought, I wonder if I could learn a musical instrument. And everything I looked at, they're all 2-handed instruments. And I have a gammy finger. I lost a finger in 1995 at work. And so I just thought, well, if I play that, a banjo, I'm not going to race it. I can't get up for the fiddle. And seeing a girl playing an accordion, I thought, so we're snipping around. She's just doing one hand, and just she's doing the basses over here. No, I could fit it up. So I went over and I said, is that hard to learn? This is a guy who had absolute no music. Like Kevin's musical. He is gifted in music. You know, he's underrated because he plays under the radar at house parties. Like you're talking about the harmonica. So I said, is that hard to learn? She says, you could learn it. So I went home anyway, and I thought about this. I rang my friend Willie Darragh, and I said, Willie, I need an accordion. And he says, right. So his wife Caroline, he says, I think Caroline's old accordion's up in the attic. She played in the band, years ago in Cullebacky band. And I said, can I borrow it? And so anyway, no bother. Willie would have landed up the next night with the accordion, and I had online found something that was, I can't mind, some really easy tune, and the boy goes like the 4th button down and the 6th button down and do re mi or some sort of silly thing.
Yeah.
And within an hour and a half, I start to play it, and I said, get Kathy out. What do you see what I can do? Look what I can do. Look what I can do. And then I said to Russia, what do you see what I can do? She's maybe 12 or 13 then, and she's just like, And so I decided, I said, I'm going to learn it. So I went and bought a Paolo Soprani accordion. Wouldn't do. I couldn't buy a wee cheap one. I bought a wee cheap one first of all, second hand, and it was a Hunter Black Dot, they called them, and bought it eBay or something. Got it, drove up to Mountfield or something. I think I bought it up there, and went to lessons. Emer Mahone from the town here, the Mahone family, fantastic musicians. So Emer's mother's related to us, and I contacted Mary. Would Emer take me for lessons? And I went there, and I'm sure I tortured her. So for the first month, she was giving me Roddy McCorley, and I was going to her every week, and I could not get it, and she was very good. And after about 6 weeks, I started to get this tune, and then I started getting a wee bit better and a wee bit better. And when you're older, kids get it.
Yeah,
It's hard.
Kids get it straight away.
What age did you start this?
I was 47.
Really, fair play to you.
So I was still younger than Kevin then. So
I was gonna do a dig about you when you said you're 50. So what age was Kevin then? Was it 52?
So
Poor Kevin.
so I went to lessons, and I seen whenever I was going to the sessions, I thought they're all sitting with the Paolo Sopranis, and the proper. I did research into Paolo Soprani accordions, a proper BC Paolo Soprani accordion. You needed either a 1960 to 1970 accordion. After the 1970s, they made them and they weren't as good, and then stopped making them. They've now started up again, but they're not the same. So I needed a 1960 to 1970. I knew what I was after, and I trolled eBay and everything. And I went one day. I seen as a man in 5 Mile Town. I had to go through the Clocker 5 Mile Town, and he had one for sale. So any bands that were giving up, stopped playing, he bought all the accordions. So he had one for sale, and I drove down to 5 Mile Town to see this accordion, and I brought the other one with me, and I tried to play the only tune I knew, Roddy McCorley, still forgot it, and it wasn't sounding right. And I says, is this BC? So B on the inside, I think, and C on the outside. And he goes, no, that's D sharp or something else. I said, no. And I drove back home, got it, got into the house, and I went on to eBay, and there was a boy down in Connor. So no way down on Connor, down in Kale's direction. The guy put on a thing and saying, selling my Paolo Soprani accordion, getting married shortly, need the money more or less. And I thought, you're my man. I was straight down the road, bought it, and I came home, and I said to Kathy, it was expensive. I didn't care. I was buying it. And but I says, look, see what this thing's going to be. I said to Kathy, I'm going to buy this. This will do the W.I.Ns years to come. This thing's only going to get more and more valuable over time. So we went to my lessons, started that. I'm probably going on a bit too much about this. But went to lessons, got slightly better. Went to sessions, and they were hammering it on sessions. I could not get into it.
They're just flat out, like
they're flat out. They're flat out. So I'd heard somewhere about a slow session. Just heard this thing with slow session, and I thought, right, that sounds good. So I thought, wonder could I start a slow session? So I was going to join the New Bridge Cultus Committee, and I said, look lads, I have an idea. Slow session. What's that? I says, same thing. We play the tunes, we play them slightly slower. And so end up when, this is right, let's run with it. So I put a thing in that says we're going to have a slow session. First one we had, there was 15 people came along. I had a tune list done out. I said, we're going to play these tunes every night. We're going to get repetition. We'll learn them. But we always had a good player in among us who just played it at the pace. So if I went off too fast or he went off too slow, this guy would he kept it all for us. So this went on for, it's going on now 6-7 years.
Class.
This year I had to step out because I'm too much going on in my head in my life, and I think at the minute there's probably 60 to 65 people in that WhatsApp group.
Wow.
And they still go to Newbridge every last Friday of the month to play the slow station. The Loop Cultists, they started it, and then these slow stations started springing up everywhere. So it gave an avenue for people to go, adults, learners, to go and play.
It's class.
So you're asking about Kevin and the harmonica. I want these people all to come to my 50th birthday. I was going to have a session. So I had the whole thing set up. I cooked curry for everybody and brought everybody to it. And Kevin was outside with another fella, Sean Ledgwood from Mahara, and him and Tom, they were playing out the back. Fantastic singers, and they were bitting the blues out the back. We had a session in the living room. Pair of people, like, there was no religion involved in the session. There was cross community. They all came, and we played our tunes in the living room. And the Mahallans all came. Dermot Mahallan, he was singing at it, and some of the stuff he sings, and just it's fantastic. He sung at it too. But Kevin was out the back. That's the video. So all that just to tell you that Kevin was playing the harmonica out the back. But then we brought.
That was worth it.
Very good.
For my 50th birthday, and it's I wouldn't that just a very memorable thing. Probably something I wouldn't do again, but it just was fantastic to
that's
have
class.
everybody there. We cooked for them. I really went over the top about it that time, and it was a fantastic occasion, and really enjoyed it.
Very good. Very good. Just about to move on to your origin story. So, usually start with first memory. Have you a first memory in mind?
Yes. First memory is Earl Martin's, I think it was his birthday anyway, 5th or 6th birthday. And I remember he got an airplane. And I just thought, at that time, he got this, it's an airplane. Yeah. I bawled my eyes out. I thought, I have to get something too. And that's it. And I was maybe handed a colouring book. And that pacified me. But I just thought, that's I'd say my first ever memory, his birthday party. So I don't know. Some people go back and say, I remember I was only 2 or 3. I don't know what age I was. I might have been 4 and he was 6. But that's my first ever memory. Mom cried my lamps out because he got something and I didn't.
Very good.
That's a good one.
Hometown, you Marfelt?
Yes.
What's your what area did you grow up in?
Oh, Highfield Road.
Highfield.
Oh, jeez, the GBB clique.
Yeah, the Glenburn Boot Boys.
So, yep, we were part of, even though we were Highfield, so there was Highfield, Glenburn, Westland, and that's where everyone was from. So it's only a name, but we all called ourselves a GBB. But the generation above us were the proper GBB.
Yes,
the Glenburn Boot Boys. But we took it on next, and then I think they ended up watered down down the generations. So
I was Westland as well. I definitely wasn't a part of it, or I wasn't allowed into it anyway, for sure. Very good. What about siblings?
Siblings and just Martin and Kevin.
Just Martin and Kevin.
We had a sister Siobhan,
yes,
who died when she was 4 months old. So stepped down, Martin's 2 years older than me, and then stepped down to Siobhan, 2 years younger, and then 2 years to Kevin. So so Siobhan, Martin told you about him having a hole in his heart when he was born as a baby.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So my mother had that too, and she just, she was this big stitch, and she always used to show us, this stitch around to here. Martin was born, he's the same big thing, he was opened up and stitched right round. Wow. And Siobhan had the same thing, but she didn't make it. And she died when she was 4 months, so I had only been 2. I don't remember. I don't recall. So many times I've said I remember. I just see photographs.
Very young,
very young. And again, would have been great to. We have talked about it. Like Siobhan will be 30 now. Siobhan will be this. Wouldn't it be great to have a conversation with her now?
I have the exact same situation. I had a sister that passed away whenever she was. I can't remember, 11 months or something like that, but I wasn't old enough to remember it. But it's the same thing. That would have completely changed the dynamic of your family, wouldn't it? If you had a girl in the house.
Yeah. But
it was all boys.
I think as I got older, and I suppose Martin and Kevin would say the same thing, when you realise my mother lost her daughter, you know, and we just grew up knowing, oh, I had a wee sister, and she's buried in here in the grave down in Milltown. But as you get older, and then you have children of your own, and you realise that
The loss.
your mother lost her daughter.
Yeah.
You know, she lost her child at 4 months old, and from what I can, just stories you're hearing, like the wee white coffin come out of our house.
Yeah.
You know, and how tough would that be to any parent? You know, to see that white coffin coming out of the house. So I'm sure that had a big effect on her.
Did she talk about her?
Not really. We grew up, Fergal, and to be honest, we didn't talk about love. We didn't, in our house, the word love wasn't used a lot. I made a promise that I would be a different person. That on my father's deathbed, I told him I loved him. I remember that. I was in Wellworth at the time and doing the shopping, and we knew Dad was going to die. We knew he took bowel cancer, and they got a bit of his stomach removed, and he came home. And our Dad was a big, strong man. Like he didn't take any crap, and we all knew that he had cancer, and we thought he's got over it here. So after a while, we started seeing him losing weight and getting thinner, and then we knew it was coming. So the last week, we myself and Martin carried him up the stairs to bed, and he never come back down. And I was out in Wellworth doing the shopping, got a phone call, and somebody came down and said, "Seamus," and I said, "You have to go home very quick." So I ran home and just got there in time. We're all there just before he passed away, and I just says, "Dad, I love you." Very hard thing to say, but I'm glad I did it. Really, so glad I did it. And after that, probably told my mother different times. After that, I love her. It was never said in our house. We did just that type of thing.
Generation's a bit different.
It is a generation.
For sure. Like it's.
And so then, whenever I had children, I love you. Keep telling them I love you, and I probably sickened them. You know, my eldest girl, Shannon, up to 7 or 8, she was, "Daddy, I love you too. I love you too." And then it got a bit boring, and I sickened her. "I love you." Say it back. But now,
leaving her off to school, beeping the horn. I love you.
But that stuck because Shannon's now in Liverpool, and I spoke to her a couple of days ago. Rang her to tell her I was doing this, and the phone call stopped with, "I love you." She said, "I love you back." So we have that. That's
good to have. Like,
yep. So I just think it's very important that you tell people that.
Definitely.
No sense being hard with things. Just say it.
That's it, 100%. I said to Clena the other night, like, he's going to be absolutely sick of me in a few years' time. Just the amount you I love you, give me a kiss, give me a hug, and all that sort of stuff. And I know where you're coming from. Like, you're just like, you just want that embedded in them that, you know, life's good, enjoy it, that sort of very good.
But rolling back there to Kevin, when Kevin was born, it took my dad 2 years to find out his name was Kevin. Dad used to call him Gavin.
Gavin?
Why? Gavin. So just because it's probably the way ma says Kevin. Dad used to go with Gavin. I think we as Kevin got older, then we had said him. I'd say it all the time, right, Gavin. But Dad used to come and say Gavin. Jimmy, it's Kevin. I said that, Gavin. But he might have been saying Kevin, but it sounded like Gavin. That's
actually lethal.
My daddy called Kevin Gavin. And I'm Paddy James called Seamus.
Oh, God.
What a mixed up family.
We Gavin Donnelly. What about school? What's primary school?
St. Joseph's. Went there, yes. And I loved primary school. And then secondary school was St. Pius's. Totally loved school.
Did you? Yeah.
Aye, wasn't the sharpest tool in the thing, but wasn't when I went there because Martin passed his 11+. He went to the convent, St. Mary's. He was the second batch of boys the year below him or above him was the first boys in St Mary's, and then he went in, and I remember telling him, going home saying, "Oh, you want to see these girls in my class? Tell me." So
very good.
So I went to St Pius's and loved it.
What were you good at? What was your?
I was fascinated. Well, I got best boy in the class in first year, second year, and third year, and then I fell in with my next door neighbour and my current brother-in-law, Peter Walls, Brixie. So, and I fell in with them pair, and I probably went downhill a bit.
Right.
You know, my art teacher, Mr. McGowan, and I loved art. I just was. I think in P7 there was a summer school in the high school in Marfelt.
Right, yep.
And we used to go and try and sneak in because our mother wouldn't give us the money to go and do the summer school. And I think one year we did get it. It was only 50p or something. And I had this wee card to say, "You're now a member of the summer school." And you walked into the high school like, swing! You know? Yep, I'm a member. And straight to art class. But one of the teachers in the art class was the teacher in St Pius's, Miss McKenna. So she was in helping out over the summer. And I was drawing this thing, and I remember clearly somebody drew a ferry and wrote C-Link or P&O on the side of it. They drew this, painted this ferry. So I did a wee boat. I didn't know what P&O meant. So I wrote P&O on the side of this wee rowboat. And then somebody explained to me, no, that's not what P&O is. P&O is this ferry thing. Oh, right. So then Miss McKenna, I was painting something, and she came over and showed me how to paint grass. And I thought, oh my God, look at how she does that. And I started doing different colours in amongst it. And I thought, this is fantastic. And at that exact same time was the first time I ever had any attention from girls.
Right.
I was a girl who was in my, end up my class, and somebody came in and said to me, you know, in the art class, you know, would you go with such and such? And I'm like,
I just learned how to paint grass.
I was like, I can't. Why not? Because I'm going with someone. Who is it? I was absolutely petrified because this girl, you know, I thought, no way. Yeah. I just wasn't ready for all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to, you know, do my art, and so that really, you know, and the art thing. I was always very creative. I loved it. And going back again, I keep reflecting back here, but whenever, probably before Gavin was born, we got the wee painting books, you know. So, you know, paint my numbers or join the dots. You know. Oh man, my mother just set that wee book in front of me, not a word. I'm dropping the dots down. And then, so I had to get the paints and the markers, and I had been colouring in, and I was just a perfectionist. You know, inside the lines. Everything had to be inside the lines. And then our Martin, he got his book and he's like, oh my God. Oh my God. I couldn't handle that stuff. I couldn't handle him painting outside, scribbling. And I says, why are you doing this here? Why are you doing? You have to stay inside the lines. But that, see as we've on, see every one of my children. I'm telling you do not go outside that line. Do not go outside the line.
Are your children creative as well?
Not in that way. Shannon is unbelievable. My eldest girl, she is a girl who was deputy head girl in St Mary's.
Wow.
Went to Queen's to do law, came out top honours in it. And I said to her, you know, like, she didn't take the brains after her mother, certainly didn't take the brains after me. Went on, did that, decided to do law, went down to work for Alan Overy in Belfast.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And we had actually done a lot of work for them through in Specialist. So Shannon went down there to do like a junior solicitor, and they were going to bring her through their whole thing. But she was there probably a year, and then they asked her to go over to London.
Wow.
Over to London, so they got her an apartment, this really secure apartment in Shoreditch, and she was 5 minutes from her work. Her apartment's unreal. This is a single bedroom apartment in the middle of London.
That's class.
And had a security on the thing, so nobody got into this building without going through concierge. So she was safe. So she went over there for 6 months, and then she ended up staying another while. and stayed there for 9 months, and then she ended up staying another bit, but it's doing corporate law.
Class.
But her boss was just like on a Saturday night at 12 o'clock, I need this done now. Why are you not doing, so Shannon, but she did it. She rose to the challenge, and I think she got one night a week off. So she's working at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock every night, and there she got one night, which is Thursday night, and she decided to go to a soup kitchen in either Fulham or Chelsea, and she went down there and she was helping out with people in the soup kitchen, and there was a lot of asylum seekers,
right? Yeah,
and she thought, this is what I want to do.
On her night off.
This is where I want to be here. So Shannon packed up her bags, decided I want to do, I'm enough of corporate law, I want to do human rights law.
Brilliant. Very good.
Went to Holland, paid for it herself, gathered up with her money, went to Holland for a year and did a master's degree in human rights law. And come out, I know her last year, she graduated last year, again, top honours. I went over to, I can't even remember the name of it, Southern Holland. Anyway, I went over and to her graduation, and went over there. I flew on that day down, and her mother flew on as well with her granny, and we all met up and went to the night before, went to Shannon's graduation. So we were outside. She got her gowns and everything at Maastricht. It's in Maastricht, beautiful city. So just outside, you can see these people mulling about, and we walked in, and next thing Shannon just pops on her Palestine badge, just put it on there, and that was her thing, human rights, and she marched up there so proud, and it's cum laude. Have you heard of that? No. So she graduated as a cum laude. I think it's out of the 80 people who graduated, there was 6 or 7 cum laude. Oh, so they announced this, So the guy who got up was it wasn't stuffy. So her graduation in Queen's, it's a ceremony, and it's what it is. But this one was really relaxed. The dean got up, and he was such a chilled out sort of guy. They had these Dutch guys up singing. It was fantastic, a fantastic occasion. But Shannon got up, and she, even the guy giving her diploma or whatever it was, and he mentioned her badge. She's passionate about that. She's passionate about human rights. And she left there after getting that and went to Greece. She needed a bit of field experience before she got on to get a human rights job. So she decided to go to Greece and work for a charity. And she was getting €350 a month working for a charity. And her accommodation was costing her €250 a month. First 2 weeks she slept on pallets with a mattress on it in the office that she was in. Wow. She was texting me. She says, "Daddy, don't tell Nanny. Don't tell Nanny. Nanny will kill me if she sees that I'm living in." But she was determined. I've never met someone as determined in my life. But she ended up staying there. Instead of getting there for 6 months, she got a bit of a pay raise up to maybe €700. But it was, she was just living the basics out there, and she wanted experience. She didn't want help. She wanted experience at all. She wanted to help people. The Greeks did not like immigrants coming in. They hated them. They hated them. They spat at them. They just, Shannon was so determined to help people. She still is. And at the minute now, she's in Liverpool, working in a like a solicitor's office over there. She's just got a bursary to go on and do her finals in human rights law. So and she's studying that over the weekends now. So she's one of them people who make a difference in this world.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So she was the first child on both sides of and very proud of her. So that's her creative side. My creative side was art. Going back to some pies, art, woodwork. Oh, fascinating! I love woodwork. Technical drawing. Oliver O'Neill was my technical drawing teacher, and I just loved him because isometric projection taught me all about that there, and I was just fascinated by this here, drawing these things, and do this view of it. And that whole thing is manifested on to what I currently am and work. And I love the joinery bit. I love I do a lot of CAD work, in my job, and it all just comes in. And the art thing, I carried on. After school, left school, started carving ducks, doing paintings at home. Before my father died, I painted a pheasant for him. And the pheasant was painted just down by the Oykel River. I did it in the background, and my Aunt Betty, who's Gerry Donnelly, I've talked about earlier on, his mother, my Aunt Betty, I painted a painting for her of 3 ducks coming into land. That's only 2 paintings I ever did. Spent ages at them. All my friends said, "What are you at?" And I was sitting in the house at the weekends painting, nothing like Conor Larkin, nothing like that sort of thing, but I was passionate about it, and I loved doing it. I love to find those paintings. I just love to find them.
Do you not have them? No.
I think the one of the pheasant appeared somewhere, and it's been put back wherever it's at. It probably is in the roof space of our old house. So I think it might be up there. At least to see if the one my Aunt Betty got, I'd love to see it again. Then I started carving ducks. Bandsaw job and carving them by hand, Stanley knife. I carved and painted these ducks. I carved a duck coming in the land, a mallard duck out of a solid block of mahogany. And I carved this duck, mallard duck coming in the land. I had all the feathers and all carved on it, painted it all, gave it to Kevin for his 18th birthday. I was so proud of it.
Class.
But I have to realise Kevin was different. What I was really proud on, and that, Kevin was a different place. And I gave it to him, and he's like, "All right, thanks." So I think.
All right, I can imagine that.
So the duck, I had it balanced on this wee stand and all, and I had it sitting like this exact position, just side, because the duck was coming like this here. So one day I came into the house and the duck's head was broken off. And it wasn't Kevin, it just happened somewhere. Yeah. But that's still somewhere, that duck is still somewhere with the head still broken off. But the amount of effort I put in there, and I must just say to him, he probably knows now.
Where's that duck at?
He'll know now about the duck that I put so much time and effort in for him when he turned 18 then, and I was so proud to give it to him. So,
very good.
Yeah.
So where did that take you then? You were out of school, left St. Pius's.
Yep.
What was next there? Did you go straight into joinery or?
No, I went to the Ballymena Training Centre. Went to a training centre, and I did what's called BVT, Basic Vocational Training. You can join all the different places. I did 6 weeks joinery, 6 weeks sheet and metal work, 6 weeks bricking. At the time I was there, Sean Brown was there. I attended the march for him last Friday night.
Yes, that's right.
Sean Brown was there, and he was a fantastic teacher. I didn't have him, but all the teachers there were very good. But I decided, I always had in my head that I was, I want to be a joiner. Just had in my head I was destined to be a joiner. I was going to be that, and that was the path I wanted to take. So I did. After that, after 6 weeks, he decided to do another 6 weeks advanced training. So I went into the joinery class, maybe 6 months actually. It was 6 months. So we did 6 weeks in all those classes, and I went into the skilled joinery class. But even in that class, I found myself helping other people. Other boys that maybe just didn't get that I was over, when the instructor went to the toilet, I might be over, cutting his tenant for him because he was on the wrong side of the line or whatever. But and when we were doing the basic vocational training and the joinery bit, I went there. There was a couple of fellas in my class from Marfelt, and we had to make a wee school desk and a wee chair, a wee desk that lifted up. So you had to make that and a wee chair as part of your training, and you got to take it home. So, but the teacher one day taught us that, you see, if there's a wee bit of a rock on your table. He says, so what we do is, he says, we get the thing nice and stable, your thing, and you measure what the distance is of the rock. So let's say it's 5 millimeter. So that leg's too short. So what you have to do is go around all the other 3 legs and cut 5 millimeters off all 3 legs. Okay? There's a guy in my class who had his was 40 mil. One leg 40 mil. Okay? So he ended up... No, sorry. His was short, and he had to cut a bit off the long leg. He ended up and cut 40 mil off the 3 short legs.
Oh, jeez.
So he ended up with 2 stools. So his desk ended up, and he went again and did it wrong again. So his wee desk, there's no way he could even sit down and get your knees underneath it. There's no. So I just, that was one of the things, and he got stuck about it. We tried to help him, but the first thing he do was he marked the first leg. The first one that he should have marked it and cut that one. That was the first one, but he cut the short one, 40 mil too small. And then he had to go and cut the whole thing down. So, so joinery there, and then come out there. Went to site out in site because I did a bit of work experience, and the time they built Parkmore. So Eugene McCain was building Parkmore, and I went out there and did a bit of work experience, and I enjoyed being out in the roofs and that with the boys. And it says, like, whenever I finish, I'll come out work for you if you'll have me. And they says, no bother. So I went and started doing a bit of site work with them boys, and this wasn't me. So I stayed out in site for a while, and then somebody says, we got into a workshop, and I says, I'm going to go into the workshop. And the guy I worked for, he says, you'll never survive. Workshop men come from workshop out to the site. Site men never go into the workshop. You'll never last.
Why is that?
They just thought you're in this stuffy environment.
Just maybe a wee bit backward.
Right. And I went into the workshop and never looked back. And that's I never looked back. So
it's a different kind of work, obviously, is it?
It is. I did a time. I remember watching a TV program. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called Job Start. And my current boss, boss's father, Bosco Hagen, and he was on this thing. And he was going to win a prize for your company. These new companies opening up, and they did the TV cameras in around his business, and I saw all this stuff, and I seen these boys that I knew, and they're in and all the intricate work they were doing. And I thought, that's me, that's me. If they can do that, I can do that. I want to be that person. So I went there in 1995. I'm still there.
It's a while away.
Oh.
What's
95.
30 years?
Well, I left about 95, and I left in, I think, 2000, 99, and come back in 2002 because I actually thought the place was getting too big.
Right.
And if you've seen the monster of a place it is now, I thought it's getting too big. I'm not getting to, do the skills I want to do because there was more machinery coming in. And then I come back in 2002, and I've been there ever since. And the place is getting bigger.
God, you must have seen some big changes.
Unreal changes. And to be a part of it now, and see the development of it as a business, the development of the people within it, see where they're striving to go to, and where's my future? Where is my future in that business? Which I've now carved the pathway out and spoke to my boss about it, and I'm very excited about it.
Class.
So we do some of the things that you probably don't hear the work we do.
No.
Because a lot of our work is sort of, non-disclosure.
Yes.
So where we get a job called tabletop, it's possibly TikTok.
Yes.
We've done Snapchat,
yes.
TikTok, Google, eBay, Warner Brothers, Netflix. If you haven't seen the job we did for Netflix, some of the stuff we do.
Are you allowed to say this, by the way?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't think Netflix will be watching. Those jobs are all.
How dare you, Seamus? You don't know. How dare you, Seamus? You hear that? Good. Rip that mic suit. Get out of here. We're out of here. But Pope, did you see?
Right.
The Pope's visit in 2000.
That's right. I forgot about that.
It was 2019 he came over.
Aye.
So we did all the Pope's furniture. So the role I got was a chair.
Did you not know that?
I didn't know the Pope could furniture.
Yeah. So if you look back at the Pope's.
It was his visit, wasn't it?
The Pope's visit and the mass he did in Phoenix Park in Dublin. We made all the furniture. So
That's
we made
unreal.
the altar. We made my thing was a chair, and
You made it.
yeah, my team made it.
Class.
Aye, so that was everybody was given a wee bit.
So they could be a
the
part
chair is now sitting in Bly. The current priest has it in Bly, and it formed. So we do a lot of tours at work. And I was always, whenever you're doing tours, we say that we made this part of the Pope's visit. This is the Pope's chair. The Pope sat in that.
Yeah.
We also made for Twickenham. We made a toilet for the Queen.
Wow.
Toilet.
It was called I think it was the ante room was the name of it. But this toilet was only to be used by the Queen. Just one wee room.
You call it a throne, no?
So, some of the projects we've worked on over the years, it would blow your mind. Some of the things we have done, and it's just by, the company takes this work on, and they get a few heads around the table and said, "Here's what they want," and you tear away, lads, and get it done.
It's class.
And we're lucky we have gifted people, we find solutions. We just find solutions and get things done.
Yeah, it's great when a company like that gives you guys the chance to come up with the solutions as well.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's more or less get it done. And the challenge, like when the challenge is there, and that's what kept me there all the time.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. You can say I get up and go to work in the morning and do the same thing every day, and after a while people leave work and go to another job, but I get up every week. It's something different for me. Yeah. I get up every day with a new challenge.
That's the difference, isn't it?
And 6 o'clock tomorrow morning I'll be in there. At 7 o'clock I'll have a team meeting, and my team meeting tomorrow morning is different than this morning's team meeting.
Yeah.
And then get the boys going, get a bit of crack going, and then here's what we need done today, boys. So we have the one board. I sent you a photograph earlier on of the one board, and we set out what daily tasks. Here's what each one needs to do. Here's why I need it done. If you need any support, that's my role. But how Specialist Group has developed me as a person over the years has been massive.
Class.
They have developed me. A lot of the stuff I have done over in my lifetime through the Mule Angling Club and through fishing, and when you talk about fishing, what I've done within fishing went on to the next level, and it's all been. I've mirrored what at the time of 2013 we went to Stormont. There was a campaign. I saw this thing on Facebook. These boys who were talking about getting the nets off the north coast. So there's three commercial nets, and they were off Torhead. There's one off just off, what do you call the place up there where you go for the Cagney Root Bridge. Mm-hmm. There's one up off there, another one down towards Glenarm, and these were legal, totally legal nets, and they were intercepting migratory salmon going to the rivers here in the north.
Right.
So, but they were selling those things that I remember the time in 2013. They were selling that for about £35 a pound in what do you call the big market and fish market? Bishopgate, does it know?
Where in Belfast?
No, in London.
Oh right. I don't know. Can't remember the name of it.
I know so you're on about. They were selling £35 a pound for wild salmon, Irish salmon.
And it was all coming from these nets.
These 3 nets. So what they did, they fished the nets 5 days a week, and then they had to take the net off on a Friday evening to let the salmon come on up.
Some salmon come in.
So with anything that came up there, so if you understand a salmon's lifestyle, you'll
know.
So a salmon starts his life off, let's say in the Muella River, as an egg, hatches out, stays in the Muella River for possibly a year, 2 years, grows into a wee boy about 9 inches long, which is a par, and then it changes into what's called a smolt. Changes into a wee silvery fish, and he's heading to sea. So around May, you talk about the rain in May takes the smolts away. So this year there'll not be too many heading out. But right now, all those smolts will be gathering up in the Muella River. So if anybody's out fishing today, they're very aggressive. So if you're out fly fishing today, you could catch 3 or 4 smolts in a pool, whereas the resident brown trout won't go for you because the smolts are that aggressive. They're voracious feeders. So, but if you
can't catch them though.
We can't, but you want to keep them. You put them back in. So if you do catch one in the pool, get out of that pool because there could be a wee pod of them in there. They're headed out to sea. They possibly spend what they call one sea winter and head to Greenland. So they're heading to the Muella River into Loch Ness, up the Ban, Castle Rock, Greenland, feed like a devil for a year, which is a single sea winter fish, which is called the grilse. A multi-sea winter fish is what they call the spring salmon. They'll stay there for 2 to 3 years. That's your big 9, 10, 11 pounds, big fat boys.
What's the difference? Like, what makes one do one?
Just a strain. A spring salmon Fergal will come back early in the season. It'll come back now. They're coming now. The grilse will come July. The grilse will come in big pods in July.
The bigger ones.
They're smaller. So a grilse is a single sea winter fish, £3 to possibly £6, and they'll come back back up into the river. But if you imagine they're coming from Greenland and they have a motorway, what they do is they come to the west coast of Scotland. They come down, navigate around the west, they hug the shore, and they come down, they get directly across from Larne. They pull the handbrake on over there, swim straight across to round Larne, handbrake again, up, round, turn right, and they'll hug the coast of the north coast. And
these boys have these big fuck.
So they have them nets out. And they were intercepting salmon there at Tor Head, because if you go to Tor Head, there's like a wee outcrop.
Yes.
So when salmon hug the coast, so they're swimming out round that. So at Tor Head there was a net. And then they go on round to the third net. So there's a campaign going on in Facebook, get rid of these nets. And this boy up here said, get rid of these nets. And
who owned these nets, or what? Who was in charge of it?
They were legal. So you paid a license. The people who owned the nets, one guy owned 2 of them, another guy owned 1 of them.
Right.
They were totally legal, but they were stopping fish getting to our rivers. So
unethical then.
Well,
they didn't mean to.
They were always there.
It's a rock and a hard place.
Aye.
They're fishing families.
Aye. Yep. So.
But it's still bad.
Yeah.
They stay in the age is bad.
Not taken away from them. They were earning a crust out of that. But we knew the salmon were under pressure, serious pressure everywhere, and we had to do something to save them, to try and save the salmon. So I seen that there's a boy on Facebook over here, as I said, another one up here, and I started messaging them all, and I said to them, do you want to get a meeting? I could you come here, and you come here, and you come here, and got these boys under one roof, and we got them all talking. And in my old Ireland club at the time, I might have been chairman at the time, but I said, guys, we're going to facilitate this meeting. Yep, we'll do that, certainly. So I chaired the meeting, and 15, 16 people turned up. And you're going back to my development specialist group. At that time, our current MD, Ciaran Hagan, Ciaran was going through a bit of a transition, moving from the floor up into they were training him to be the current MD that he is. Mm-hmm. So he's going through this sort of thing, period where he's getting trained, and then he was taking our meetings, and I sort of mirrored what he's doing. I always enjoyed watching Ciaran do things. I could see his growth, and I thought, well, I could do that. I could copy what he's doing. Or in my later, in the fishing thing, and it's just a lot of stuff. You could take it from there and over to here. How you dealt with people. So we had that first meeting anyway, and my job, we talked all about it, what can we do, and then I said, look, so we decided that we're going to start a campaign group, and I said, lads, we need a chairman. So we needed somebody to chair this group who's going to lead this group. And I looked around and I thought, well, this boy doing a shout, and he might be this boy here. So 3, I thought one of these 3 will put their hand up and say, yep, I'm going to lead this thing. And somebody says, you're the chairman. No, I'm just getting this thing together to get you, And he says, no, you're the only one's got this thing together. You're the boy who's got us here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're the chairman. And then I thought, right enough. So from that meeting, we formed this group. It's called NSN, No Salmon Nets. And first meeting with 15 people, and then every month we met. We got to a point where we had 7 or 8 MLAs at our meeting. They wanted to come to our meeting.
Brilliant.
Because we had a campaign going, and we ended up, we won the campaign. But we got the campaign over the line because we found out that those fish that were being caught in the nets were actually some of those fish belonged to the River Finn in Donegal. Right. So you're not allowed to intercept fish from they call it a mixed stock fishery. So if they could prove that every one of them fish they were catching in those nets were coming into the ban, and the ban's the main corridor, so we have the Givy River and the Myola River and the 6 Mile water and all, they had to come up the ban into Loch Ness to head up their home rivers. So, but there was one fish caught in a net, and it was proved that was from the Finn. And there's a European directive out at the time that said, because the River Finn was an SEA, Special Area of Interest, or SEI was it? That one fish.
That was a protected fish then?
It was a protected fish. So the Finn was catch and release at that time. You weren't allowed to kill the fish. You weren't allowed to net on the foil. So they suspended all netting. And as part of that, the anglers on the Finn weren't allowed to kill fish. So because they had found one fish in that net, that allowed our campaign then via the European thing. So that just accelerated
Give
the
it
whole,
legs, like.
the whole campaign. They're gone. So Dara, the Inland Fisheries Division, suspended that netting, and they said they're going to do an interim period from 2013 on to monitor it to see how they got on, and they've never allowed them since. But as part of that, anglers here in the north aren't allowed to kill salmon, which we're fine with. So we're not on the Muella River, the Givy and the Clady, and all the rivers that the ban itself. You can't kill a salmon.
It's all catch and release.
Whole way to Stormont then with it, like, as well.
It's still going on. We were in Stormont. We went to Stormont, a KISS campaign group. I was sitting, and I went down one day to Stormont, and I was sitting at a strategy meeting with Robin Swan. Myself, Robin Swan, and this other guy sitting in a room having a strategy meeting in Stormont. And I'm going, I came out and I thought, what am I doing here? What the hell's going on here? You know, I reflect that back to where Ciaran was at.
Yeah.
Ciaran's on a journey. I was on a journey of development then too. Yeah. And I just carried on.
I take it then that there's a lot more salmon about now because of it.
It's a good bit. The year after that, it got a lot better.
There's a lot of challenges too, though.
Yeah.
What are the other challenges?
Well, you've habitat. You know, our river at the minute, we have a lot of siltation in it. You need good, clean gravel for fish to spawn in. You have predation, cormorants. The amount of cormorants, unbelievable what them things you need a day. You have seals.
Mink and stuff.
You have mink, aye.
Invasive mink.
Yep, you have pollution. The feeding grounds, the biggest one they reckon now at the minute is the fact that the feeding grounds up off Greenland or Norway have moved. So those salmon would have headed out as the wee smolts. Wee boys with 9 inches long, and Mother Nature had them enough energy in them boys to get from the mouth of the ban to the feeding grounds, and they started munching. They went straight away, krill, prawns, and all that sort of stuff, shrimp. They just fed on that, and the following year they come back. That wee 9-inch fish come back the following year, possibly £3 to £6 weight. It's a massive increase. The multi-sea winter fish, he stayed there for 2 or 3 years. He came back, £10. £15.
Wow.
Yeah, the big lads, to come back. So so predation, pollution, the feeding grounds moving. So those wee smolts are heading to off to the feeding grounds. If they've moved another 100 miles, have them boys the energy to get there. So there's a lot of studying going on, thankfully nowadays as well, to see what exactly is going on at sea. So
what about salmon farms? Do you know much about them?
Yeah.
Because that's another thing that's tough.
Aye.
Can be.
Yeah. So if I can tell anybody, well, one of the being in my balance is folks who see the stuff that you're eating, it's absolute dirt.
The salmon you get in Tesco's and stuff.
You don't want to mention it. I'm not mentioning anywhere you get it. Absolute dirt.
Don't mention Tesco or Asda.
Those fish are force fed with pellets. The what do you call it, stores, whoever they are, they actually have a colour chart. And they they pick the colour they want, and there's dyes put into those pellets to make the fish that size. If you want a gauge, take a look at next time you're going to look at a bit of salmon. If you see the wee white lines in between, that's fat. Salmon do not have fat. Wild salmon do not have fat. So you don't want, we don't want to be killing wild salmon. Yeah. But wild salmon expend all that fat as they're swimming along. Those guys swimming around in cages, and all the crap that they're putting out of them are killing all the sea trout. So any sea trout that lives in an estuary lives in let's say in a foil estuary. Because if there's salmon cages there's not there over in Glenarm, there's salmon cages. But in Galway, the sea trout run has completely decimated since the 1980s because of salmon farms. Irish government see money involved in it. They're actually going to allow them to produce more and more.
Jesus.
But the amount of fish dying, Google it, you see. There's fish.
It's not a long time, too.
Yeah. There's fish swimming around in cages with one eye, half a head. Just they're eating each other.
Eating each other.
Like a salmon, you see them things move, how quick they are.
Yeah.
They're just held in the cage.
So they can't.
Aye. But just the disease, once they get the disease eats them alive. Yeah. And then there's some campaigners who go into the cages, they sneak into them and film it. And it's all on YouTube. Do you see it? And this is what's been served up to people on their dinner plate. and they're thinking, oh, great source of
salmon,
a nice bit of salmon,
natural.
So so if it's got fat in it, have a look at it, you see. And like,
I know exactly what you're talking about too. I've had loads of it.
The boys I work with, I'm telling them that's pure dirt, and they say, "Oh, geez, he's still going on with this." And then like sea bass was another one.
Yeah.
Like a sea bass takes 10 years to grow to 1 pound weight. So it takes to grow to maybe a foot long. It takes 10 years, and then they're going out to sea and catching these fish, throwing them onto a plate for you. But now they've moved some of those, they're now starting to breed sea bass inland. If they bring the salmon cages, if they brought them inland, which they can do, and they put flush clean water through it, and that'll take all the pesticides and all the crap through, so it takes it away from the estuaries. Yeah.
Why don't they do that?
Cost of money. Yeah. So the biggest thing there, Fergal, that's killing the sea trout is if you catch a really fresh salmon, how you know it's dead fresh is the sea lice on it. Okay, so a sea lice has got maybe a couple of wee tails on it. Mm-hmm. So if you catch a salmon on one of them rivers, the salmon, the River Moy, if you catch one in Ballina and the River Moy, and there's a sea lice on it, those sea lice will drop off after 1 day in fresh water. They can't survive. So this fish is only in the river. It's only been in the river 1 day.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So if it's still got the wee tails on it, it might be a matter of 2 hours.
It's came from the sea.
Yeah, so that could have come in the tide. If the wee tails are still on the sea lice, he's straight off it, because that's the first thing they lose. So then the rest of the sea lice, if he's on after 1 day, they drop off. And that's how you know how fresh. Because you see boys catching the fish. Oh, look, the sea
lice on it.
That's how fresh it is.
Deadly.
So, but the sea lice are they're from the cages. Mm-hmm. The sea lice, there's an infestation of them on the wee sea trout that are in the bay. Mm-hmm. So a sea trout at a pound weight, 14, 15 inches long, has been all these sea lice are just eating it alive. So they're wild. So those sea trout are same as the salmon. They have the journey. Mm-hmm. and out to sea, and they survive in the estuaries, and they come back up the rivers into locks and that to spawn the same way as the salmon do.
That's crazy. It's fascinating. Well, where did all this fishing come from then? Was it your dad that obviously?
Again, the photographs. Gerry Donnelly.
Is that?
Uh-huh.
And what was it all? What fish did you?
We didn't go fishing. That fascination of that outdoor thing, it just was there. And I remember I used to harp on to Dad, I want to go fishing. We didn't have a car, when we were young. We had an old Ford Cortina that we had for a while. I'm sure then that there's a car parked down behind our house, and the old Cortina sat on there, and it sat for a lifetime, and then the grass started growing around it, and then we started playing Starsky Hutch in it, and then
I remember a car similar.
So it sat there for a lifetime. I remember my mother saying to my father, you need to get rid of that car, because the council will hear about that. So next thing, there was a bit of paper put on a 30-day notice, and 30 days later the car was gone, and there was just this wee square patch of grass that grew around it. So that was the only car we had. But I harped on that much about going fishing. So Dad took me to the floodgates in Toom. Mm-hmm. Myself, Martin and Gavin were going fishing. Oh, I just couldn't believe it. We're going fishing. So we went down there, and I had a wee silly spinning rod, and at that time that was where the boys used to poach the salmon, the big treble hooks, and fire them out into the, because all the salmon come up the ban and went up the fish pass. So the locals there would have through the big treble hooks, massive hooks, and they just fired that out. Yanked them, big boat rods, 50 pound net, monofilament. They yanked them in, hooked the salmon, got them in way up. Like, that's a $5 or a $10 for them. But there's me down with my wee rod, and I'm casting out. And next thing, I reeling in, I felt this wee tug. I thought, it must be a fern or something. There's a pillow of weeds. And this fern came in. Next thing, it was a fish. It was a perch. A wee perch with a half pound weight. And I said, I caught a fish. And the next thing, Daddy. So Dad lifted it off. And I said, can I take him home? I want to take him home. So we got land of my uncle Hughie's car to go down. It was a lime green Audi. And back in the 70s, this was a retro. If that thing was about today, it would be worth money. This was lime green, And we caught the fish. And next thing, I was just, I said, oh, we're here for the day now. And with 5 minutes later after I caught the fish, we heard the splash. Looked round, Kevin, he was up to his neck. He fell in just above the floodgates. There was it was safe enough. There was a pool. The floodgates was all over, but just a bit of a pool, and maybe knee deep or something. And our boy, being our boy, couldn't keep himself to himself, and he fell into it. And I heard the splash, and down he had over, just grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, lifted him up, and carried him down. Right, let's go. And I thought, well, at least I got a fish. And I took the fish home with me. And I can remember vividly driving home, and I drove home with the fish held up at the back window of the car. And I got home. I drove the whole way just so someone might see me driving through Markville. I'm sitting against here at the window, and I got home. And I remember getting home and telling my mother, caught a fish. I was straight into the bin because there was a perch. There's no use. I was hooked. I was hooked then, but never really got into the fishing again until, because I was so much into shooting.
Right.
Dad took us shooting. And when I was 16, I started working in Mary's. My mother worked in Mary's I got a job in Mary's, and I worked every Wednesday night. So I was a 16-year-old lad getting up and sitting in Mary's, 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night, scundered, because nobody got in there until 9:30 or 10. So I'm just sitting there. And then they come in, and then I started working Thursday night. And then the next thing I was working Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I was working Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whenever the dance was on. Mm-hmm. But in fairness, when I brought in Brixie, I had to give it to him on a Friday night. He had always come up into me before he was out for a pint, and he always come up in to see me. And nobody else come in to see me, but he always come up in, and he had drunk a pint in Mary's, had a bit of a yarn with me, and then went on whenever he's going. But that kind of broke it up for me. And so from I was 16 to 18, I worked in Mary's, but I saved everything because I wanted to buy a gun. Mm-hmm. So I applied for my permit when I was 18, and down to JC Stewart's at the time. Mm-hmm. JC Stewart sold guns and cartridges and that. And I was still at the training centre, and I said to Dad, I had the money all. It was a Sarasquita under and over shotgun, and it was £165, and I had the money in a wee money bag in the house. And I said to Dad at the time, I said, Dad, if that my permit ever comes through, you come meet me after work, after training centre. So I came up this day anyway, drove into Marfelt in the bus, and I seen him out across the road, the bus stop. And I thought, what's he here for? So I crossed the road, and he says, it came, the permit. So me and him into JC Stewart straight away, got the gun, and they threw in 20 cartridges, and that was me shooting. Next morning I was down the road, bought a wee gunsling, walked the whole way down to behind Rossa Pitch, Paddy Conway's now fields, and I down there and shot rabbits 4 o'clock in the morning. And I paraded up through the town with the gun over my thing at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, half a dozen rabbits in the back of the thing, because the fellow up beside us, Harry Bunley, big into game, he would eat anything you brought him, rabbits, pheasants or anything, and on them days.
Class.
I still bring Harry Bunley an odd dolphin from the river. Mm-hmm. Don't like killing fish, but Harry really, really appreciates fish, and so I'd still bring him up an odd one. And but that was me. I was fascinated. And then Dad took us out, shooting any chance we got. We went out shooting ducks, and I did that till Dad passed away. That was maybe a full year. Brixie bought a gun as well, and my mother worked for George Glover up in Moneymore. She was housekeeper for George. She reared George's children. She was up there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they were great people. Really, very, very good to my mother. But George owned 300 acres out in the Loop, and so I got to shoot it. So we went out there, and this is unreal. We have all this to shoot. So Martin then had Dad's gun and his permit, so he came with us an odd time. But the following year, 97, I think it was, 97, 98. But anyway, I started, Brixie said to me, he was into fishing in Miola, and he took me out one time fishing out to one of those wee fisheries you're talking about, Jude, and I caught a rainbow trout. I thought, I enjoy this here. Enjoy this. So him and I were out probably that winter. It was Boxing Day. Boxing Day we went out to Glover's to shoot, and we had a great dog. And Dad passed away at this stage. And the shooting kind of went with him. The shooting in the loch went with him. We could have shot all around the loch, but he knew everybody around Toom, up around Doss, up that coast or that shore. Dad knew everybody. When he went,
You didn't feel as comfortable going?
I didn't know the people, you know.
Yeah.
So the duck shooting kind of ended then. So we were out shooting there, and with a great dog, a Springer, Lancer, and I paid for the dog, bought the pup, and Dad trained him. Then I trained him with a whistle. So that was our thing doing together, training the dog. But that dog had a sixth sense. You know, he was shooting. He looked into the hedge like, "Hey, you ready, lad?" I mean, he gave you that look like, you know, I'm about to go in here. Are you ready?
Nearly hold the gun for you.
So myself and Brixie were out shooting out in out the loop anyway, and exactly this Lancer he's pointing into. He's a bit of a pointer in him, but he's a full bred English Springer Spaniel. And he looked into this like a wind bush, and I said, "Go on." And then he went, and the hare went out in front of me, and I just lined him up, and I mean just perfect shot. I couldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Brixie says, "What's wrong?" I can't shoot it. You know, you weren't. It was against sort of ethics then to shoot hares. Aye, because you know if you shot it and start crying, you know people say don't shoot hares. But I knew Harry let the hare. You know, I had shot an odd hare before that, and the boy went out in front of me, and I couldn't pull the trigger. Went on round anyway. Thought nothing of it, and next thing, another hare went, and he went. I lined him up, and I couldn't pull the trigger. I just turned to Brixie and I says, "That's it, finished." And I went the following week, I think, up to a place in Moy and traded my gun in for fishing rods. Sold the gun, bought a fly rod and a spinning rod, and started fishing. And then joined the Mule Angling Club, got in there, and at that time I just finished. I was 27, so stopped playing football. I stopped playing football when I was 27, which is far too young nowadays, I know. And I started because I wanted to fish, but they asked me would I join the committee down the club. You know, whenever I stopped playing, and I went to a committee meeting. I thought, arguing and fighting each other. You know, this probably happened with all committees. These boys, you know, just back then, great club, great people. But I thought, not for me. So joined the Mule Angling Club. For some reason, a mate of mine who got me into it, he was in the committee. He says, "Come on down to a meeting." So I went to a meeting, and I went in there, and I looked, and it was my first time really realising, and I thought, he's a Protestant. He's a Protestant. He's a Catholic. And these boys did not mention politics. You know, this is me reared as second-class citizen, and these boys got on so well. There was never a word about, this was just about fishing. I thought, I fit in here. I fit in here. So before I even learned to fish, I was in the committee.
It's good to find. It's good to find something like that though, like a hobby
Then,
like that.
next thing I was on to,
You would have to get good at it now then.
next thing I was tying flies. So I started, somebody says about fly tying. So that brought out everything, all my art,
the
tack
creativity
drawn,
and all that.
creating flies. So I started tying flies, and I just loved it. That was it. I was hooked on the fishing. And of all the things I've ever done in my life, because I've gone off on tangents and cycling club and I've chaired the cycling club.
We have a lot to talk about, don't we?
As Eric Kevin says to me, you know, I have done so much. And the boys at work keep me going about, you know, if something's starting up, if there's a new something starting
You
up.
hobby, you'll be starting it.
Hey, there's something you can be chairman of. You know, and I they're probably right.
Yeah.
But I said, hey, look, lads, you go you and do it. Go you into your community and lead something. And I know I've started things and I've gone through the phase of it and I've left it again. But I've done it. I've done that for the community. But the fly tying has been a passion of mine since that. I still so passionate about tying flies. I won't fish a fly that somebody else gives me. I fish my own flies.
What's your go-to fly for the Mule for brown trout?
Iron blue dun.
Iron blue dun. I thought you were going to say.
And I have to say this, Jude. I have brought you a fly tonight. That this is the go-to fly. It's called a red arse green Peter.
Red horse green Peter.
It's one I tie. I've given it to everybody. This thing will take salmon, dolphin, sea trout, brown trout, rainbow trout.
Is it dry or can you fish it both
It's wet fly. It's a top dropper. Top dropper. If you're fishing a loch, it's a top dropper. Bob fly. It is unbelievable. Now, it's not because I tie it. I'm not trying to say I'm a brilliant fly tyer. I tie flies that catch fish.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot over the years about flies and what works and what doesn't work. I brought you one of my things. If my mate Tommy McGrath finds out if I give you one of these flies, I'm for it. I am for it.
You hardly have.
I have it here for you.
Jesus Christ.
I have it here.
Yeah,
I brought a couple of boxes of flies to show you.
I'd just like to say they'd be wasted on me and Phil.
Yeah.
Only because me and him were like, what is going on? Are they speaking?
But I love the question. I love this wee combo that went on here. I hope people can hear what you're saying.
So the red arch screen, Peter, is known. It's a fly. It's a sage pattern. But this thing is unbelievable, and it's because I reckon I've learned over the years that fish possibly see fluorescent colours, UV colours. And I brought the whole thing to show you. I'll show you.
I will take photos of them, and then whenever you're talking.
At the break, I'll show you because I have to go to the toilet shortly.
Aye.
But I tied the red arch with glow bright fluorescent number 4. And I reckon I did this all goodly guys to you boys.
Well, it's really interesting. Though.
But I now add that to several flies, and when you see what I do with these flies now, after when I show you them, you'll understand. We all have our own things about what flies work, and if you have confidence in a fly, so if I'm given a fly by one of the best fly tyers in the country, and he tells me that's caught me 10 fish today, what he's really giving me is confidence.
Yes.
It's not about the fly. He's giving you the confidence because you'll put that fly on, and you'll fish hard with that, and you'll possibly catch a fish with that. But if somebody just gives you a fly, here, try that out thing. You're going to put it on, and after 20 minutes, you're going to say, it's all about fishing's all about confidence.
So more about the mindset than anything
absolutely.
else.
Very good.
Absolutely. So you're giving people confidence, and
Is there anything else that causes that mindset then within fishing, like the rod? Not any.
No, it's just absolute confidence. So you can buy all the, like I have the deer rods, I have them. I have cheap rods, but it's having nice gears, nice.
It's separate to the need.
Separate to need. And as I got older in life, and I just decided I bought deer rods, but I went to a fishing competition on Saturday, or a club competition, and I had my £1,000 rod in the van, and the rod I fished with was a £50 rod that I bought from Willie Darragh. So I won the competition.
With the 50.
So it's not the rod. It's what's
behind the rod.
It's not even it's the confidence you have.
Confidence.
But one thing I will say, when I give this fly to Jude, you see if it doesn't work for Jude, he's the problem.
Correct.
I have.
Are you nervous, Jude?
I'm going to get it stuck in a hedge first.
We went over to Scotland there. We used to go over to Scotland. Two good friends of mine, Joey O'Neill and Peter O'Neill, both from Marfell, father and son, and they get jobs in the River Oykel in Scotland for as Gillies. So we went over there in 2010, and then again about 2021, I think. They're Gillies on the River Oykel. So the lower Oykel and the upper Oykel. So Peter was in the lower Oykel, full-time guide. Right. The people who were coming to him were Lord Marks and Spencer, Prince Charles came for his week's fishing. Jesus. So these guys were buying a timeshare. So you bought your week. Okay, so they owned the week. So let's say the 12th of July to the 7 days later. So that was their week every year. So they bought that. So but you could sell it on in the lower Oykel, and it's big money. So then they come to fish there a week. They still had to pay to come fish there a week, and they stayed in the Oykel Bridge Hotel, which is a wee hotel in the middle of absolutely nowhere in the Highlands of Scotland. Just a fantastic place. Class. So, but in the upper Oykel, Joey found out that if after the guests go off the river at 6 o'clock, they go down and get dressed, and they go down and honour the haggis in the hotel. They get dressed for dinner, all the things, and this is high end stuff. So we went down. We hired a wee cottage called Craggy Cottage, and with Craggy Cottage came you were to fish the river after 6 o'clock in the evening.
Right.
So we fished, there's a couple of wee trout locks there, so we fished them all day, and then 5 o'clock down, different man making dinner every night. So 2 men were dispatched to make a dinner, the other lot of boys fished on, down, dinner, 6 o'clock, down into the onto the river. And the first time I was there, I come down, my friend Brian Brigmore went down the pool in front of me, and he caught nothing. I come down behind him. I wasn't in the river for 5 minutes. I caught an 11.5 pound salmon. And I just, so I got videos off it all at the time. And then I caught another 9 pound salmon just straight after it. And this, I guess this is prime. Mm-hmm. Prime. These guys are paying thousands. And here's us buckos.
You're catching it.
From up there. We paid, I think from the first time I went there in 2010, from I left the house to I came home, it cost me £280. And that's for groceries, travel, ferry, everything. Petrol, and we all went. A fella, Michael Brunton, he took his van. We all went with him. But what I was going to say is, the last time it was over, we went with Peter's Angling Club, the Galsby Angling Club, and they were going, on a Sunday you can't fish for salmon or anything in Scotland. And so we went, they could fish for rainbow trout. So they were having a competition this day, and I thought, I ain't hanging about the house, I'm going with them boys. So we ended up, have a 2-hour journey up this wee rainbow trout fishery, and it was competition. So we entered the competition anyway, and the guy who owned the place, he said, look lads, if you anything over your first £5 of fish is yours, anything over £5 of fish you pay me. So that's all right. I had 2 flies, the 2 of them here for you. One's called the Humongous, and the other one's the Red Arse Green Peter. So I ended up anyway, and I thought I'll go up here to the top end. And they were coming to me with their flies. Everybody always has a big chat. They said, even there on Saturday, all the other boys are huddled, he's sick of flies. And I am so open about it. Boys, fish the Humongous. Fish the Humongous. It works. Loch Fay, Humongous. And they're all saying, it's some special type of Humongous. He is some, So I have tried different types of Humongous now. I'll show you him too. But it's a fry pattern. It imitates a fry. So I ended up anyway, and I put on the Humongous and the Green Peter. I was fishing 5 minutes. I got this bit of a thing with 7 pound weight on the Humongous. And got him in, and I looked and I thought, I can't kill that. If I kill that, it's going to cost me a fortune. I ain't paying for it. And they told us before the competition that, you guys aren't actually members, so you can't win the competition. So I caught this boy, and I caught 3 or 4 other good trout. I had won the competition straight out. But it was a Green Peter, and I fished 3 flies. The middle fly wasn't doing anything, but the Green Peter was on the top, and that was catching fish. So up come the chairman of the club, and I said, how you get on? Oh, I missed 1 fish down there. Oh, God, I wish I had caught him. I said, what have you on there? And you've heard the Gorgeous George. So he had these different Scottish. So the Gorgeous George is a concoction developed in Loch Melvin, a concoction of a fly, lovely looking fly. But he had these Scottish versions, so it's a Claret George, and the Gorgeous George is green. I'm sure everybody watching this thinking, what the hell is this?
I love this.
No, this is interesting.
So every fly has different names. So every fly in my box has a different name. So the Gorgeous George, he had these Scottish versions of this. He says, this is a great fly. I just lost that fish. And I says, here, I'm going to give you this here, Red Arse Green Peter. Oh no, I wouldn't fish that up around here. I said, do me a favour, put it on. You're going to catch a fish on it. And you're taking a chance. I only got to know this fella. He put it on. I guarantee you within 5 minutes, he was standing fishing this one spot. 5 minutes later, he got a lovely rainbow. And he says, what do you call that fly again? And I says, it's a Great Arse Green Peter. You're only getting 1 of them. That's it. And but it worked there too. And another friend of mine that I fished with, he has one in a wee glass case, Red Arse Green Peter, and he calls it break glass in case of emergency. Or in case of emergency, break glass. He wouldn't even fish it. So he has his Red Arse Green Peter in this glass case. So
class. Very good. We'll take a break.
Aye. Yeah, please.
No worries. We take a wee break.
I'll show you the.
Aye, show us after. That's
you can nip to the toilet too, Seamus.
So, right, that's interesting, isn't it?
That is interesting. Really interesting. There's a culture war happening here. between Jude and Seamus.
He's giving them to you, lad.
I'm going to have a red phone call. I get him a queue of men.
These would be sought after, I imagine.
They are beautiful, though, aren't they?
Well, the works of art, like.
It's a lot of passion.
What's the process there with creating these?
Yes, good
So
question.
you've got to hook into the vise first of all, and then you tie and thread onto it. I tie like that one there. I tie those eyes in first, and then you start from the back and come forward. So everything you do, you tie all those materials in from the back, and then you come forward each of them. Like that one Fergal has, you see the wee legs and all on it.
Yeah.
So that's where there we have our legs. Try to go mad from. Anyway, that's it. If you went to all the different types of flies that are in the water, that's the stage. Sorry.
That's sick.
So it's, when you start to understand fly fishing, you have to understand why they go for a certain fly.
Certain fly, yeah.
Different types of fly that live in rivers, and different times of day, the different stages of like all those flies actually hatch out of the bottom of the river. They're not terrestrial flies. They're born. They live in the bottom of the river.
Yeah.
Do they?
And they hatch up. So once they hatch out, first of all, they might be this colour, and then they come up as a wee pupa. So your fly mimics that, and then as they come up, then they're about to hatch out of the water. They're a different colour, and then they hatch out into this adult dun, they call it, and then it goes and mates with his mate and turns different colour.
So that's what the fish are trying to catch these things before they go out.
Yeah.
And that's you're trying to recreate that at
that's
different
the fry,
stages.
That's the fry pattern. There is like if you look at the CB sticklebacks or anything, and you tug that boy along in a lock, that thing's lethal there. That thing is lethal.
So it's imitating the.
Happy boy, Jude.
Aye. So hey, don't you boys? If you're not real fishermen, you're not getting. At least he pretends to fish. If you boys aren't,
At least he pretends to fish. What a backhanded compliment, Jude.
bring a man on to talk about fishing and then tell him I caught that in a worm. Sorry, that's not fair.
Poor Jude.
You're grand.
Jude, cut his mic there.
What's this photo of them?
So that there's a story behind that. I worked with a fella and he was getting married. Now I've done one podcast before about Loch Ness,
Right.
It was called Ireland on the Fly, and
Oh, very good.
so
I've listened to that.
I was on that.
One of your brothers must have sent that to me because I listened to it ages ago.
I'm a wee scientist from he is on as well. So I went to his house and we did that together. But I told this same story because they ask you what's your most memorable fish at the end of that thing. And I told this story. So a fella, I'm going to name him Oykel Hamill because I love just naming him. So he remembers about it. Oykel was getting married and he said to me, would you come over? I'm going over to Glasgow for a stag weekend. And I says, no, not for me. I don't do stag weekends. I'll never last. I'm not big into drinking that. I just wouldn't last. And I said, but you could do something else? And he says, well, we could maybe go a half day. We'll take a half day and go and fish the Finn. We'll book what they call the beat on the River Finn.
Yep.
River Finn was one of the best salmon rivers in Europe. But this was probably around this time of the year because the date I caught that fish was the 6th of June. And he says, so we booked it for a Thursday. And the way salmon fishing works is when the water's at a certain height, so you need rain the night before, and then the water rises up. You see there's a flood on, and a big brown flood, and then the flood starts to fine down, and the water turns black. Okay, so if you want to fly fish properly, if you want a worm, you chuck it in anywhere, you probably catch something. If you want to fish a worm, So
Dude, be nice to our guests.
I'm sorry. You probably see the resemblance between myself and Kevin now. It's coming out. I try not to let it out, but it's coming out.
Kevin's usually rude to me, not Jude.
True. He's usually really nice to Jude.
So
Top rate fishing banders.
just to get the river Finn fish is perfect at 3 foot. and there's gauges and all on it. So if the water's fining down, there's been a flood, and the water goes from really brown water, high, and just starts dropping, and then it turns into black water. Fish start running, salmon start running. They'll move from pool because they're heading upstream to spawn.
Will they panic or they want to?
Well, really, Fergal, if you take the Moyola River at the minute, look at it, you see, you can look up the river, and there's a bit of a pool, and then there's like wee shallow bit, and then there's another pool. Yes. So then fish have to get from pool to pool to pool, so and they're getting from Castle Dawson to Ripperstown. So that's their motorway. So whenever the water rises, they go. They know when the water's right, they go. And then the boys go out and fish for them. So they fish for them at a certain height of water. But the fin just works at 3 foot. So we had booked this Thursday, and we booked on a half day. And our half day was starting at 2 o'clock to dusk. And the night before, it rained. And we ended up working next morning on the Thursday that we were going. We booked it anyway, so we had to go. And we headed, I looked, there was a lot of rain, and I looked at the gauge. You can look at it online. And it was sitting at 8 foot. So it's 5 foot higher than it needs to be. And I says, it's disaster, no way. And I says, I'll check it in an hour's time. So an hour later, it was about 7 foot. Not too bad. And I started, wee mouse started running. I says, see if this just keeps going the way we want it, we'll hit this. This could be perfect if it keeps going down. There's no more rain. So anyway, we head up the road anyway. Left work at midday, head up there, and we got to the graveyard stretch in the fin, and just as we got to the graveyard, the other 2 boys that come off who are on all morning, so they're on to 2 o'clock. Well, any joy? And he says, no, nothing. And so I said, Alkin, right, look, it's your day. Where do you want to go? I've never fished this beat before, and there's a pool at the very top of it, right below the Ivy Bridge, called the V. And the fish stop there. So it's a bit of a V in the water. The fish will come up and they'll stop in behind these rocks, and they'll sit there, and the guys fly fish for them, and they get them in there. And I said to them, well, sure, I'll fish here at the graveyard. I'll go in here and see what it's like. So I went on anyway up the top of the graveyard. Didn't know where I started at, so up and started coming down it. And I think about half an hour into it, I cast across with my own fly that I tied on a single hook. You don't need to fish single barb with 6. So I tied the fly, and it was on a wee single hook. And next thing I get this boy took off, and that thing there took off, and I thought, oh my God. And, goosebumps. Like, when you're in the fishing.
Because of the pool, like.
Yeah. And this was a big, this thing took off. Like, I'm sure Jude will back me on this one. When you're salmon fishing, hooking a salmon is like you hooking onto a car and the car taking off. That's so strong.
If you tied your backing on properly.
Aye. So this thing, it took off. It's not this wee thing goes swimming down and you're going, ee! This thing took off and zzz, down it, and he went about 90 foot down, and I just seen him going splash, splash, splash. And I thought, shit, this thing's going to empty my reel here. So he stopped, and then he started moving. I got him on, and I get that fish over. I was standing up to my chest in water, and I couldn't see where I was going to land the fish, and I was holding the rod in this hand, and my net, every time I got the fish near me, I went to put my net in, the purr of the water was washing the net away, so I could not see anywhere, and I had that fish right over my net 3 times. And I just says to myself, I do not deserve to catch this fish. I do not deserve it. If this fish gets away, fair play, I don't deserve it. And I don't know how I eventually got him swung round and into the net, and I just absolute relief. So took photographs of it, did a wee video of it, and got the hook out, single hook, and weighed him. Well, the net I have is a McLean weigh net, so it's fit to get the fish up and hold it up and see what weight it was, and it's 15 pound.
Jesus,
and unreal. So I tried to ring Alkin. He's up at the V, no phone signal up there. So I thought, I'll fish on down this pool. Fished on down the pool and got another one. So the other one was about 7 pound. It looked as big as that, but it was 7 pound. And then I thought, Alkin's he's in a good spot. He's bound to get a bag of stuff. He got nothing.
He didn't get a thing.
So I still peeve him about it. That's good up that day. So
very good.
That was the story behind that boy there. So
jeez, very good.
It's unbelievable.
I was thinking about a story actually. I think it was maybe told Martin's episode, and Kevin was there too, was, and they link it back to Specialist, actually, your job there as well, was, I was telling my wife about it, the wardrobe you have, is that you can put the clothes into the wardrobe and it falls into the laundry.
That's
am I
right.
up the house?
Downstairs. Not just about that, was that like, is that things that you try to do here and there, or?
No, our the house we're in at the minute, we bought it off a plan, and it was supposed to be two flats. They were going to build 2 flats on it, and then we just seen this drawn and went up and looked at it. And I thought, this is perfect for us. This is a dream house, and went and stuck a deposit on it, and then we weren't sure if we were getting it. The guy started building it, and he had, before we actually knew, yep, we're definitely getting this house, they had quite a bit done to it. And when I ended up and I looked inside it, and I thought, no, this isn't the way I want this house. The kitchen, and I said to your fella, Marius O'Doherty, who built the house, and I said, Marius, any chance you can move the window walls? And he says, see whatever you want, you tell me now, I'll change it for you. And really accommodating fella. So he changed things around. I ended up and looked upstairs, and I knew where the utility room was at, and I looked at the bedroom above it, and I thought, well, we're going to probably put wardrobes here. I could put a chute in here. I could put a chute down into the thing down below. So I did. I said to him, look, just leave me a joist there. I'll do the rest. So I got the biggest sewer pipe I could find. I think it's maybe 300 mil, maybe even a bit bigger, a big pipe. And I cut a hole in the plasterboard and a hole up above in the floor.
Genius.
Just put the pipe down. That's all I needed for then. I just need the pipe in, and they worked around the pipe.
Yeah.
And so now I know Kevin says I just take that for granted. Just something I did.
Yeah.
So now when up in that bedroom, you just pull the slide rule back and you throw your clothes into the shit,
And it automatically goes down.
straight in, and then you open the door in the utility room, and it's right. The clothes are all sitting right beside the washing machine.
Yeah.
And well, this have to bypass my flight hang kit, which is there now as well. But it's
Sounds like was it Inspector Gadget's house?
I designed the whole thing myself, and I was fit to do all the work inside myself. And work were always very accommodating for to let you do them sort of things.
Very good.
So,
with that in mind, I wanted to chat about lean a wee bit and your workshop. Fergal, you've delved into lean a wee bit. Me and you both have in the past.
Yeah,
but
we have.
You recently have done a wee bit of work.
Yeah,
in the lean side of things.
Would you know my uncle Tom Hughes?
Gamba Ducks.
Gamba Docs. Yeah,
Ducks.
I did the logo, the branding for Gamba Docs.
Oh, very good.
In doing that, I had to learn about lean, and it's only recently that I've kind of like tried to introduce those principles into my own business. Like, I'm a freelance designer, so I'm not really in the manufacturing space. But lean, and especially 2-second lean, is like, I believe you can incorporate those principles into any business.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be manufacturing. And
Yeah.
I think that's key. So like, I'm at the very, very like start of my lean journey. Let's put it that way. But it's helped me a lot. Even the couple of months that I've started it.
It helps you in
everything,
life.
in everyday life. Yeah.
Where did it start with you? Was it introduced into Specialist around the time that you came back, or
No. Going way back years ago, Bosco always talked, about lean. But
Really, yeah.
He did. He have to say, like, I wouldn't say visionary, but he's way ahead of his time.
Yeah,
And
so
he had heard about this lean, and he was talking about it. He probably knew in his head what he wanted.
Yeah.
But maybe we didn't understand what he needed. And lean back then was probably the boy checking along and takes you to make a unit, and then you go to the toilet, and that was probably lean back in them days. But then it was Ciaran who got on to it, and Bosco himself, he heard about it again and started pushing it, and we then decided we'd go to Seating Matters up in Limavady.
Ryan Tierney.
Ryan Tierney. So we went up and did the tour with Ryan, and
He's a lovely fella. Isn't
he is. Yeah, I got it straight away. See once out in with Ryan and seeing what he was doing. The one thing I did say to Ryan at the time, Ryan, the difference with us is we're bespoke. So lean works really, really well when you have doing a straight line product.
Yes.
So you can really, really implement lean and continuous improvements and make everything that better.
Try and make those processes that are the same every single time.
Yeah, compress them. How can we improve?
Quicker.
So I did say to him at the time we were bespoke, and Ryan says, well, we are bespoke too. We make seats, but they're not all the same.
Yeah.
But when you come into what we do, like next week I could be doing a job for, I'm currently doing a job which is 7-star. Okay, 7-star apartment block in the middle of London. Like the 95%.
7-star.
7 stars. First time I've ever done a 7-star job.
I didn't know that existed.
Turn your head, these boys. But we are kind of getting into this as 4 massive penthouses. But everything in it. When you talk about veneers and everything, they want a certain type of veneer. It has to be this color. It has to be. When you start to understand what a veneer is, it's somebody's running downstairs.
Are they enjoying lean?
So this is a 7-star job, but lean would probably come into that. But so all these jobs we do are bespoke. So we have 30% of what we do at work is standard sort of stuff. So, and I said this to Ryan. They said, no, but we're bespoke as well. But I don't think if he's seen with our business how bespoke it is, I think he'd understand more. So we've been fighting to try and get lean up and running, and I got it that day. As soon as I went to Senior Matters, walked around, talked to Ryan, I had it straight away. I talked to his people, and straight away I got into thinking, what can I do? Some of the terminology they have, fix what bugs you.
Yeah.
And that straight away, fix what bugs me. That bugs you. And I went into work, and I seen things that annoyed me at work, and simple, fix it.
Yep.
So the whole thing
it is
about
that simple, isn't it?
fix what bugs you is that you empower other people. So it's not all about you going and fix it. So if I go in here tonight and I need a bit of graphic design done, I don't know much about graphic design, but I know I need this thing fixed. So I can go and say, Fergal, I need a hand here. I need a hand. You give me a hand to get this bit done, and John, you can do me a hand. So if his boy does a bit of metal work in your company, somebody does a bit of plastic work, and you did this thing made, well, between the three to get it made. Yeah. And the whole thing is about celebrating those.
It's empowering people, isn't it?
Empowering people. Empowerment is a massive word.
Yeah.
Empowerment and engagement. And lean, the whole lean culture, it's not about having a lean guru within your business. Yeah. Because that person then becomes the boy they're targeting is back.
Yeah, everyone asks him questions. Yeah. You become the person that has to answer every question.
Yeah. So the whole thing about lean is empowering the people within your team to think of things. And then, so one of the things I learned up there was, is that wee Paddy?
This guy here, I remember watching it, he literally had a problem with something, and he's like, I always have to reach up here, and then they solved it by, it was literally right beside, say, the tool, because it was ready to go. So I
met Paddy a few times now.
Fascinating.
So I learned another thing at that stage was called the first improvement is the worst improvement.
Yes,
but the most important improvement.
Yes, I
agree.
And that
meant then that everyone takes ownership. So if I make an improvement on something in my area, so I say, boys, here, I made an improvement. I want you to come and critique it. See how you can make it better. So they may come and say, well, if you had a wee bit on there, and brilliant, we'll do that. And then the next boy may come along and say, but here, if you didn't think about this wee bit. So you've now got engagement, you've got them boys empowered, and you celebrate all those wee ones. Yeah. So the first improvement is my improvement. It's the worst improvement but it's the most important improvement.
Yeah, because you started it.
Worst was first, but that's the main thing. You start, and you work on it.
So I started off. I took our area. That's why we go on to the morning meeting. Seating Matters have a morning meeting They have a company morning meeting. We now within our teams at work we have a morning meeting.
Teams, yeah.
So every morning. At 7 o'clock, I sent you photographs, John, the WIN board. So we have a meeting around our WIN board, and the WIN board is what's important now.
Yeah, I do a morning meeting with myself now. It's not quite as exciting.
I do a wee priority.
So that's the before there of that wall, and then
pretty blank. Nothing on it. What was it before?
Oh, we just set everything against it. The guy is working on this bench.
Oh wow! Look at this.
Set all the stuff against it. So
completely empty, basically. Just a place to set things.
Yeah. So now we have.
Now it's got purpose.
Yeah, everything. So if, all this
Look at
documentation here is all there. If somebody needs to to take a day off or a few hours off. There's a form in there, or dispatch dockets, or drawings, which we never could find. We get booklets of drawings for different jobs.
How much time does that waste as well? Like if it doesn't have a place, like
you go into Lean, you're talking then going into like Tim Woods, the eight wastes.
Aye,
Yes, that's waste.
Yeah.
That wasted time. Like Ryan Tierney talks about, you're probably reading in his book or any of his podcasts. Like people. The customer does not want to pay for anything, only the time spent on the product.
Exactly.
So if you're getting a pint down the stairs, that you don't want to pay for James down the stairs to go and change the cake. You know, you want to pay for him to pour you a pint and hand it to you.
Yeah, get your money's worth.
That's it. That's all the customer wants to pay.
100%.
Customer doesn't want to pay for me to walk from my area up into our machine shop to go and find a pallet of stuff and then come down and explain this to my man and how to put it together. The customer wants to pay for the product.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mind if you're actually the bit that when you're putting the product together, that's whenever that's making money. That's what Ryan preaches that wee bit.
Sure.
When you're actually making that, whenever you have to stop and go and look for something, that's waste. The customer doesn't want to pay for waste. So, but the journey that we've gone on, you know, the company has invested at a very high level in a new robotic storage system for all our sheets of material. We've got a robot now who puts our sheet material into that space. It logs every sheet in. It doesn't. We don't have to go and say to our store man, "Give me 2 sheets of that there." You go and put in. You tell the robot. It gets you 2 sheets of stuff. It'll log that in. It'll do the stock take for us. It does all that sort of stuff.
that's insane.
We've got a new nesting machine, CNC router.
Yeah.
It'll load the back of the nesting machine. So we program stuff in our pods, send it down to the machine, and we write on, engrave everything onto the different parts that we want, and it'll go into the back of the nesting machine, knock it all out onto a pallet. Whereas before we'd done something similar. Well, I currently do something similar. I send it to a different machine, and man, I have to go and print out all the drawings of the things I need. Go down, talk to the man at the CNC, say, look, this is all sheet material. This bit's going to be cut for you, and can you put that in that pallet, that in that pallet? And then he might have to go from then, go to the store man and say, I need 8 sheets of 25mm MDF, I need 4 sheets of that, and then the store man has to go and get it, bring it round to him before he actually starts. So our CNCs are probably one of the biggest, where we make costs, let's say, per hour. So you talk about the overhead recovery rate, but if them men aren't working, they're not on the machine pushing the button, they're away looking for sheets and the machine's sitting idle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not working. That's waste.
Waste everywhere there.
Waste of
like,
time.
isn't it?
Yep.
Very interesting. There's a wee video here as well that I got from you. Let me see, where's it at? It was a wee walk around.
Yeah, I actually just put that into. I'm in a group called Lean Maniacs Ireland. Your Uncle Thomas actually commented on it. I put that in on, I think it was yesterday morning.
Aye.
I haven't posted in a while, and I put that video in because just a wee update on where we're at with the journey,
Brilliant.
with our lean journey. And I just wanted to show the people in that WhatsApp group where we're at. And it shows, some of the big things that we actually have now, which is space.
You don't mind me playing this?
I'll play away. Hi folks, I haven't posted anything on the group in quite a while, so I thought I'd update you on our lean journey over the last 6 to 8 months. We've extended our factory and introduced what's known as a board store. So we have a robotic board store in here. Wow. That's the robot just up there. It will come across here, lift the sheets out of here onto our new nest machine. It feeds through here. The board will get labelled as it goes through into here. We will label all the different parts on our nest with a sticker. Then goes in here. CNC cuts all the parts out and brings up the far side. The board store will also feed our beam saws. We have 2 beam saws here currently, and we're getting another one, so that will feed into the back of the beam saws, so that we don't have to load front facing onto the beam saw.
It feeds automatically.
Yep. So what we currently do is we bring sheets round to the beam saw. Same thing as we talked about the CNC. So we'll bring, a pallet of MDF round to the beam saw, and the guy loads it onto the saw. The saw cuts it and he takes it off, puts it in a pallet, puts stickers in every part. So the future will be the robot will drop the sheets in behind the saw, the back of the saw.
Yes.
And the saw will clamp it, cut all the parts straight out.
Even safer as well. Like.
Safer, aye. So it's cutting down on that even the forklift driving through to drop those sheets in.
That's
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
What Word Store has allowed us to do is create a serious amount of space in our
Look at that. I don't even know what size it was before or what the space was before, but looking at me and Fergal have been in a lot of manufacturers' sheds like over the years and buildings, and there's barely any space. You know, there isn't space, and that's a business. Like you always think, you're always thinking the space, it needs to be filled, needs to be operational. The space you have created there looks massive.
Yeah.
I imagine compared to other manufacturers,
Even ourselves,
even yourselves.
all that 3 weeks ago was completely covered in jobs ready to go to our assembly area. Every bit of space you see, because all sitting flat on the floor.
Yeah,
When
taking up surface area.
whenever you decide to go up, it's unbelievable. See the energy that's around work now.
Yeah,
Because people now have visibility. Like, another big thing about lean is having visibility of what you want.
Yeah.
You know, where's it at, and what gets measured gets managed. So if you have visibility on any of your products, you know when it's going to be ready. You can talk to your internal customer, which is our contracts managers, and they speak to the external customer. External customer wants their product on site on that date. That's it. They don't care what's going on. So when we have visibility of all our product within our machine shop, and I know where it's at, I say, they're sitting up in that rack. Them 3 parts are for that particular part of the job, whereas before it could be anywhere.
it's hard to beat a glance at something. And
Yeah.
But you know, that excites me.
yeah.
Aye.
Because you're walking through all this stuff, saying, scratching your head. Back to the Tim Woods, you know, wasted time.
Yeah.
Time wasted walking around looking for things. And like you take, when you're paying a joiner a good rate, and he's walking around the factory.
Exactly.
One of your team men walking around the factory looking for parts when you need him on the bench assembling.
Yeah.
You know, you need him, and you need to feed him all the stuff that he needs for that day's work. That there's no blockers. My job's remove them blockers. That's part of my role.
Yeah.
And mitigate all that sort of stuff. So whenever he gets his job, that he is comfortable, he's not feeling under pressure. Because I know where the pressure's coming. I'll have that mitigated before it ever gets to him.
Yeah.
I'll have that sorted because I'll be able to talk him through all that.
Yeah.
So, or I'll get it done somewhere else and then add it to his job as it goes through.
Yeah, I find that's one of my favourite things to do in my own life and work is every day try to make it easier on yourself. And that should be the goal. Like it genuinely should. If you can find an easier way to do a task or some sort of admin or something, why wouldn't you do it? Or why wouldn't you try every single day? Tell me this, for you getting it when you did, and then would you say you got it along with the likes of Ciaran at the time, or
As soon as
were they pushing you towards, right, learn this lean, guys, you know, we think we believe in this, or that's the way
so
it went?
it was introduced, and myself and Ciaran, who's in one of our directors, I think it's 5 or 6 of us went up, and probably were the people who they knew would get it.
Keenest as well.
Aye, and I think it's
Was that up at Seaton Matters?
Yeah.
Is that where you went?
we went there and we got it, and straight away I come down and I could just see these ideas.
Yeah,
But
just-
again, you know, if I have an idea, people don't like change.
yeah,
Human beings do not like change.
that's what I was coming to. It was.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when businesses make a change, or you think, oh, that would be amazing, but then you have to think of everybody around that change and how that impacts them. So,
Yeah.
tell us a wee bit about that. What was that sort of change like in Specialist?
Well, Ryan Tierney will tell you on the tour it took him 8 years, and a lot of people gone in the door and out the door.
Yeah,
So in order to get that culture,
Yeah.
the lean culture, which they now have, and a new person joining their company, they either like it or lump it, because that's they're coming into this company where the culture is. So for us trying to get that culture in, it is difficult. But when people see this bit here, see the space that's created by putting up the racking and seeing the visibility of their product where it's at, when we bring that into our next thing is we're going to bring it into our assembly area and their spray booths, and then probably into our dispatch, and we're going to bring that whole philosophy, and then all these minor things. I have all these wee minor tweaks that I've done, I've been working on, and then we'll just launch them in. But I need, for me, to do that, I need to empower others to do it.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
so if I say to somebody, here, I have a great idea,
Yeah.
will you see how this works? And he's going, no, my way works too.
Yeah.
Aye. But this way here will save you 2 processes. You know, so again, the waste over processing, overproduction. That's one of the 8 wastes.
It is, yeah.
And over processing is what we do. Every company probably does it. We over process a lot.
You need people to take the initiative though to take that extra step that you mentioned there. Not everybody's built that way or are in the mindset to take that on. So that's probably where some of the culture is.
Not to steal from my uncle or anything, but he has that book that's Improvement Starts With I, and Paul Aker says that like there's enough improvements. You yourself have enough improvements to do you about 6 lifetimes. You know, so. I think a lot of people see whenever you're in like yourself in the gamba, like on the floor, that whenever they see the improvements and like that, the other teams see that. Yeah, like that has to empower people as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like
well, there's a thing called the nosy neighbour effect.
That's it.
So the nosy neighbour effect is get it up and running. So what I'm doing now, I'm trying to get my area even more into a lean example area.
Yeah.
So part of the book you've seen in Ryan's book, 2 Second Lean, is that have that lean example area. So you make 2 or 3 example areas within the factory and try and make them work. And then the nosy neighbour effect is that others see what's going on and think, I want a wee bit of that.
Yes.
Make them jealous.
Yeah, but right now we're busy. We're always busy.
Yeah.
We're trying to find that time to get a bit more into this and roll it out. And I know whenever you show different people how the process works, it's just getting them to buy into it and all the change. Like we have 5 assembly teams at the minute, and all 5 of them are like totally separate businesses. You know, so I might be working on TikTok. This guy might be working on Snapchat. So he'll bring the whole Snapchat product through or project. And so we all 5 teams will make drawers different. They all work.
Yeah.
But my philosophy is now the future for me is in developing people. That's just something that this is all brought on board. And another thing I'll talk about is CCO, and we need to talk about that. It's life changing what these people do. But when you learn how to develop people, and I've been doing it now with the apprentices. So we've had an academy since 2016, and it started off all right, and then we have this great facility for them. But the learning that we're giving them just isn't right. It's just not. It could be better, and we're constantly like, using the lean there. We're constantly saying, what can we do better? We want to have a world class academy, and we are going to have it.
Class.
I know it. I know how to do it. You know, because I've been taught it, and Ciaran believes in me, and I believe in Ciaran. And when he talks about world class academy, I go away thinking, how can we deliver that? And not everybody's buying into that, you know, because they're so busy. But I that's the sort of thing that I really want to get into.
You have a passion for.
Passion.
But I suppose
Sounds class.
it's something you've kind of done with, you know, taking the GA teams and stuff like that. You've always sort of mentored people. I
did a level 3 mentoring thing last year.
Oh, did you?
And found it fascinating too. So part of the future is setting up a mentoring program within Specialist Group as well.
That's unreal.
You know, to talk about work, our man talks about a family, Ciaran. He talks about the specialist family, and I can tell you it is. You know, it really, really is a specialist family, because that man is so invested in his people. As the whole O'Hagan family are invested in their people, and there's a lot of people within the business who are invested in the O'Hagan family and in the people, and they're always going to get people who aren't. They're boys, the tire kickers. That's fine, but like, you know, the thing about, for every 10 people you have, you're going to have 2 standout characters. You're going to have 6 people maybe in that middle group, and you're two boys that aren't interested. And what we do normally is we invest so much time trying to get the 2 boys who aren't interested into line. But see if we spend more time investing our time in the 6 boys in the middle, they'll either, the 2 boys at the bottom will either jump on board or away they go.
Fine.
There's no sense investing all your energy into people who aren't really that interested.
Yeah.
Invest your energy into people who do want to, improve. And by the team I have at the minute, it's all mainly apprentices who've all come through our apprentice. And I've spotted them every year. I look out for the wee
Class.
That wee boy is him. And it could be girls. We have some great girls come through our apprenticeship program as well. But you're always looking out for that wee nugget. And at the minute, I have a team of 8 altogether. 2 of them, one of them 70, Dave the Rave, and Dave was our academy teacher. So Dave was teaching our academy, doing very well. But then Dave just decided he wanted to take a step out of it. He's now come into my team, and brilliant asset to me because he also helps me with the lads. We have another fellow who's the same age as me, but the rest of them are all 19, 20, 21, 22, up to 24. And every day I've been taught by CCO, the collaboration company. Ciaran and Hagen brought them in a few years ago to help us. And they come in to work with high performance organisations. And within that, they're looking for high performance individuals who work in high performance teams. And they develop them. They give you structure. They're really into people. And there's a guy called Denver Henderson. I told him I was going to mention him. I've cleared it with him. And Denver is my coach. And this man's phenomenal. So I'll sit down and me and him will strategize together. Somebody in the team not working with. How do you think you're going to handle it? How do you speak to these people? And whereas 10 years ago, effing and blinded everybody at work and to get something done. Nowadays, we work to, we've got what we call the 6 agreements. 6 agreements of collaboration. And this has changed, it's changed my life. And some of the guys I work with say, petty shite. That's fine. You don't want to believe in it. But, so we learn to deal with each other. So 6 agreements, controlling your emotions when you're talking to somebody. Just keep calm, collected, control their emotions. Listening. Listen to people. 2nd degree listening. So 1st degree listening is, somebody saying something, them boys downstairs, we're listening to them. We're not listening to understand. So whenever you say something to me, John, and I can repeat it back to you, so I'm listening to understand. That's 2nd degree listening. There's also a 3rd, level 3 listening, which is listening to what's not been said. So what else is going on with this guy? Is there something here that he's not telling me? That's a bit more difficult. I haven't got a grasp of it yet, but it's something I'm going to get into in the future.
Picking up on cues and that sort of stuff.
Is this guy all right? Yeah. Is everything okay here? So that, accountability. That's massive. Accountability. I'm accountable. All the team leaders that we have are all accountable. Within our teams, we have guys who might not be accountable, but to make them accountable, we acknowledge them. So every morning during a morning meeting, if somebody does good work today, I acknowledge them. I'll do it privately first. When you walk by some guy and you say to him, "That's a great job you've done there."
Yeah.
What? Do you see what you've done there? That has helped us so much because here's how it's helped us as a team and also as a business. So well done. And you can see people growing 6 foot just by just saying
that's fantastic.
100%.
5 or 6 words. It cost me nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's acknowledgement. You see the next morning at your morning meeting, if you acknowledge him again in front of others, you see that boy growing another 6 foot. You've got that boy on board.
Yeah.
So you're now working with empowerment there. He's engaged, working with empowerment, and then so you've got controlling your emotions, listening, accountability, acknowledgement, speak straight. So speak to somebody straight. If I'm going to have a very straight conversation with my brother, if I have to have it, so what you say is, look, I know you're my brother. This is probably a very difficult conversation that I'm going to have with you, but I need to set the fact that you're my brother. I need to set that aside a minute, and I need to talk about the problem. There's a problem here that we need to talk about. And I deliberately talk, when I'm talking to somebody, I separate it out, so the emotion of doing that, and you're talking about this here, there's the problem. We're going to talk about that problem, and we'll come up with a solution. He doesn't go away feeling that I was picking on him. And he goes away thinking, right, I understand. And at the end of it, I'd say, if there's any help you need from me, to help you sort this out, there's timekeeping, being in late, not taking days off work, trying to help him. If there's anything you want to talk about. And so speaking straight and supporting people. So that's the 6 agreements. When you bring that out of work and you bring it into your life, last year we won the Division 2 Championship, under 14 ladies football, Division 2 Championship, and then the Championship, every day I was going with a different agreement before our games. So myself and another fellow, Kevin Shaw, took the under 14 girls, and I was talking to them about I always had a buzzword. This week's word is relentless. We're going to be relentless in the tackle. What does relentless mean? And I just break it down into simple terms for them. Relentless is that you go into every tackle. You do not pull out of a tackle. You're not going there to hurt anyone, but you have eyes on that ball and you're relentless on the tackle. And controlling your emotions. Semi-final last year, we knew who the referee was going to be, and the girls hated this referee. And before the game, I said, girls, tonight's thing is controlling your emotions. Guess who's refereeing? Such and such. Control your emotions. Okay, set the fact that you don't like this referee to the side. I need you to control your emotions, and we're going to go out there and forget about him. You're going to play football. At half time we were 1-7 to a point down, and we come back and won the game, beat them Gavin, and we won the county final. And in the county final, I had a different wee speak. I don't know if it worked or not. I don't really know if that is why we had a great bunch of girls, but they did listen. Yeah. As we speak, they listened, and you could see that. I've been coaching them girls now since my youngest girl, Darcy, is coming 14 now, and I've been involved with Camogie football since she was about 5 or 6. And I've watched those girls grow, develop, right up through that. And I told them at the start of this year at our coaches meeting, we had a meeting with the girls, and they set out the boundaries. Like, girls, what's the boundaries? What do you set your own rules this year? What do you expect from each other? And then they set down their own rules, and we got the parents down in the next meeting. Okay, guys, there's the rules your children have set out for themselves. They won't be late for training. And all this, and the parents thought that's fantastic. But it was the girls' rules.
It was girls that did it.
Yep.
And that's empowering.
Empowering.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I said to them at the start of the year, I said, girls, I do not care about. I said to them, what do you girls think was my biggest take from last year? And 5 or 6 of them said, winning the championship. I said, you're wrong. The biggest thing that I took from last year is watching the development of some of you girls, that what we did as coaches, how we changed some of the wee things, some of the things you've seen that we could tweak. You never say they're doing wrong. Improve. How can we improve it? And we made improvements to those girls. And, resilience. Like those girls are going to grow up with resilience. If you, I was talking to a fellow the other day about Camogie. And you'll go take your child to a Camogie match at 5 years old. So you're taking your wee girl out of primary school. We're going to go to Camogie night. Okay. So you hand them a wee hurl and you once you put a ball on a hurl in front of 5-year-olds, they take lumps out of each other. I'm telling you, and they come home loving it. So that sort of thing. When you fall down, get up, pat yourself in the back. Yeah, and that's what I find with the GAA. Something that that resilience. Yeah. And I really wish that all communities would buy into it. And we do in our club. I have a very mixed team. We have 42 girls this year. We've had to get 2 teams. It is. It's a lot to handle. Thankfully, we have good coaches, just under 14 level. But we have girls from the other side of the house. I just love that. And they come to play football. And that's fantastic.
Community sport.
It's community sport, and you hear all this stuff outside. Oh, it's not. I'll defend GA to the hilt. It's because of what it's done for my family. So it's a fantastic.
I was going to ask you, Seamus. What we usually ask some of our guests is, if someone met you up the street today, or at a Camogie match, or in Specialist, what do you hope they go away feeling from meeting you?
I just want them to go away feeling happy, feeling that there's somebody there who's interested. If they've made a change on them, I do see a lot of people you meet. You can change people. You can change someone's life there. Not life, that's too strong. But you can make a change to somebody's day. Yeah. By saying a few words. I see so much, and I so much I can see the people there. Like, why did you not do that there? Never thought. Do you not see that? It's not staring you in the face. That if you seen that boy come in and he's late this morning, and you could have changed him by saying a few words. No. Okay. But just by saying a few words to people, you can make their day better.
Yeah.
They put a smile on their face.
Small changes can make a big difference.
Aye. Small changes can make a serious difference.
Very good. I think we'll end it up there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Here, we've plenty more to talk about. We'd love to have you on again, Seamus. It's a fantastic chat.
Well, we didn't get into the cycling. We didn't get into the GAA at all.
Aye. I didn't get talking about my good friend Willie Darragh. As a fella a good friend of mine died just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And I think he's worth it because he was.
Yeah, of course. Well, tell us a bit about him. Like.
Willie and I met. I spoke at his funeral. His wife asked me to speak at his funeral, and sat there. It's for down to be Methodist Church, and I thought, what am I going to say here? About his fishing, and one of the things I finished up on was that Willie and I probably knew of each other growing up, but never got to know each other. But through fishing, we got to know each other. So we would never have met, two opposite sides of the same coin, let's say. But we got together fishing, great friends. Willie did a lot for our club. And then he went on to greater things. Like Willie was one of them boys. He lived life to 110%. Fishing the mule started off. Then he went to Scotland fishing. Then he ended up in Argentina for a week fishing for sea trout. Some of the biggest sea trout in the world. And Willie's going there for a week. His last trip there, he was there for a month. Wow. Then he went and started targeting tarpon. in South America somewhere. But Willie passed away on just before Christmas. Took a massive heart attack. And one of the things that bugged me about that whole thing was during COVID, Willie raised £72,500 along with a few other boys for the NHS. And he and bonus ball auctions every Saturday night. And they started off. He said, we need a lot of wee bits and pieces. So I donated a lot of flight hand stuff, and a lot of boys. Some boy did a wee reel, and he'd auctioned it off. Next thing he knew, it was auctioned off a week's holiday or fishing in Scotland for a week. And people have come from everywhere. Yeah. And he raised all that money for the NHS. When he needed the NHS, they weren't there for him. So that morning he died, he woke up serious pains, rang the ambulance, and the ambulance says, no, nothing available. Can you make your own way to the hospital? What we've learned since was that there was an ambulance sitting 5 miles away, and it wouldn't come.
Scary.
It wouldn't come because with the way the ambulance workers union is at the minute, and I don't want to say this wrong, so please, I don't want to be saying anything wrong to anyone, but their shift pattern, so half an hour before an ambulance goes off their shift, they don't have to answer a category 2 call. They only go to a category 1. So either half an hour either way. So Willie was made the last call, I think it was 7:05, and that ambulance was going off duty at 7:30. So they didn't go. Yeah. And Willie died on the side of the road. Now at 7:25, I believe, his wife made another call just before he died, and the ambulance was there in 5 minutes because the new ambulance on shift. And that bit,
yeah, it's understandable. It's a sorry state of affairs.
It is, aye. And Willie touched a lot of people. Willie touched a lot of people on his life, and he was like what do you call that stuff? Either love him or hate him. Bovril, is it? Marmite. Willie was that person, but he brought a lot of people together. And after he died, his wife Caroline asked me, would I sell his fishing gear, and the money going to charity. And the charity that I think is going to is the Middlesbrough First Responders, because Willie's brother Glenn, I spoke to him at the wake, and I said, it's just a pity that there's no first responders in that Cullabacca area. And he says, what do you mean first responders? I said, well, Marfelt here we have the Middlesbrough First Responders, and one of the fellas in it is Darren Fitzpatrick. His son Tony died there last year. He went to Holy Family. But Tony's father, Darren, was always into helping people. And he's a big part of the Middlesbrough First Responders. So basically, if a 999 call goes in now for someone in a Category 2 emergency, and goes to the ambulance service. Once they answer the call, there'll be a bleep goes to these volunteers. So if somebody's taking a heart attack downstairs right now, we ring the ambulance. The ambulance will say, we can't get there for 3 hours, and that call will go straight to the first responders. So them guys, there's 24 in this local area, and they have a WhatsApp group, and 4 of them might say, I'm available. They'll be here as soon as they can. Wow. So they're all volunteers. And they weren't, if they had been in Culabaki that morning, might have been there for Willie. Yeah. So myself and our friend of Willie's, Paul Smith, we were set the task of selling his gear. And it's the old case of don't ever tell your wife what you really spent on fishing gear. So I sold a lot of Willie's gear internally to all his friends. We made £6,500, and it's a really proud moment for me because it was good for me to do that for Willie. As a pain in the bloody arse, but I did that. He'd do that for me. He'd have done anything for you if you rang him. If you're stuck in Dublin and you rang that man, he'd have drove to Dublin and got you. So his legacy is going to live on. With this money will go to help someone else. That's fantastic. And I think that there's a lot of different things going on to his family now, raising money, and they've now found that there's in Northern Ireland first responders, so different branches throughout the north, and they might try and bring them all together, but hopefully the Ulster first responders get some of that money too, because it's fantastic. I mean, that we have those people in the community. Great. They don't advertise looking money, really. They don't. You can't ring them direct if something happens. It must come through. Their insurance doesn't allow them. Once the ambulance gets a call and they hit the button, that triggers them into action.
It's good to know. I didn't know anything about that.
No,
so
I
didn't. It's an amazing service to have, and it's
volunteers.
Sad that it wasn't there at the time.
Aye, volunteers.
We'll definitely dedicate this episode to him. Because that's a fantastic story, and it's good to hear that it's happening local. That the responders are there. Amazing. Thank you very much, Seamus.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Thank you very, very much. It was a real nice way to end there in memory of Willie. Really appreciate you coming. Hope you had a good time.
I did. Aye.
A nice time.
It was probably when you boys start talking, you think, Jesus, we could go on here all night.
You're one to talk. Have you met your brothers?
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
I actually thought, you see, if us three were sitting here together,
aye.
No, I wouldn't come.
We need extra tape on the camera.
I'm the quiet one, believe it or not.
Look, thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate it. That was a fantastic episode. Shout out to all our listeners. Thank you very much for listening so far. Really appreciate it. We're hitting great numbers locally, and we love everybody listening to any local legends like Seamus here.
I would say that.
It's fantastic to everybody to learn from local people, gain from local people, and I would say being embedded in the community in some ways is a great thing for everybody around here. Jude, did you have a good time? Apart from falling out with
no more worms.
Just never allowed to fish for worms again.
Fergal, you had a good time?
I had a great time.
Seamus, a good time?
I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll cue the bodhran and we'll finish it up there.
Let's go.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.